Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Every generation there's born a slayer, but also a little chief. Welcome to Pandora's box, ladies and gentlemen. We have the little chief back with us today.
Whoop, whoop.
This is the second time that the little chief's been on Pandora's box. If you haven't watched the first one, how long ago do you reckon we did it? It's quite a while ago now, wasn't it? About 2 years ago?
Yeah, because we did the show and then I started doing Tarot Tuesdays.
Yeah.
After that, the breakfast show, yeah.
And I know I still had long hair at the time, so it must have been quite a while ago. But yeah, all you AW radio listeners will probably know the little chief for having Tarot Tuesdays and the Mystic Hour.
Yes.
As well,
yeah.
Two prestigious shows here on AW Radio, and also you're going to have a new show coming soon, aren't you, Chief? As well.
Well, we hope so. Yeah.
Can you give us a little sneak peek about what that show's going to be about?
Well, it might be a bit more like dancey type stuff, so like more 90s or late 80s dance.
This is the rhythm of the night. Well, that's
people are usually surprised by that because I'm more into my metal music and my Indian stuff, but I really like 90s. Dance and things like that too. I
think that like people I think it's easy for people mentally to put people into groups, isn't it? So like I think that like if it's like obvious that you like metal, people just probably just put you in that category and assume that's all you listen to.
Yeah.
But I think like, you know, a lot of people, or maybe even most people, obviously have like a wide variety of likes. And dislikes.
Yeah, like, you know, when we do Tarot Tuesdays, it's always a bit of a mix as well. And like, so we play dance music sometimes, so it's like, be cool to like do more of a bigger show rather than...
Give me like an example of like a dance like song or artist that you like, that you think that would surprise some people.
Well, I really love the Prodigy. So I'm a big Prodigy fan. I've seen them twice.
It's quite common, isn't it? They're one of those weird bands. I put them in the same sort of like, even I'm not saying they sound at all similar, but they're a bit like Depeche Mode in terms of like alternative people and like metalers seem to love them. Yeah. Even though they obviously don't sound at all metal themselves. Yeah,
because I love Depeche Mode. I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan as well. And Josh is starting to get into them now a little bit.
They're well good.
As well, yeah. So I don't know, that's where it comes from as well, because I've always liked that 80s alternative, like dark, kind of like 9 Inch Nails, like stuff like that. So it kind of crosses over. Yeah. But yeah, Prodigy, they were really good. They try and be like a bit of a punk band when they're on stage and stuff. But they're very, very dancey though as well. But it's weird how us like metalers and goths and everybody just love Prodigy.
As I said, and Depeche Mode. Yeah. Because I feel like I don't want to obviously like generalize, but I feel like some genres of music, their fan base are like more like maybe like shallow and fickle than others. And I think one really good thing about like metal and rock is like people tend to be very, very loyal. Yeah. And I feel like for some reason Depeche Mode have almost just been like adopted by like metalers. Yeah. And like a lot of people that would probably listen to them when they were like cracking out like top 10s all the time. Yeah. Probably like might think of them as like yesterday's news, whereas like they've almost been like adopted and they're just loved by metalers nowadays.
Well, yeah, Rammstein covered them as well, and they did really well with the song they did. And yeah, like I just think when you watch their live shows now, everyone's in black. Like no one's like in their like early 80s like big like flowery colours and stuff like that. It's all black and like the shades on and stuff like that, like very cool.
It's very intense.
Yeah,
very intense. Yeah, Lacuna Coil did enjoy the silence as well, didn't they? Another like artist that I think is really, really freaking cool, who is a bit similar, is like Gary Newman, I think.
Yeah, I love Gary Newman
because he like loves metal and stuff, doesn't he? But like I freaking love like just Gary Newman in general. Like his like music and stuff. And he had that song, didn't he, like R.I.P. that was like a little bit bit edgy and a bit heavier.
Went really metal like in the 90s, like with all the guitars and stuff. I know like he's done more since, but he mixes the two together now more so in the early 80s. So
it's got more of like an industrial sort of metal electronic sound.
Yeah, because he doesn't again look like he should be in a dance group or anything like that. He does look very like dark and mysterious.
Yeah, as you said, wears all black and like leather trench coats and stuff, and wears like black eyeliner and stuff, like very gothic.
It's like we've adopted him, like, no, you can come with us.
Yeah.
You're one of us.
He's looked after now. Man, I love even like his early like cheesy stuff though. Yeah. Like all his classic ones, you know what I mean? Like Cars and
but
stuff. But
that's quite dark as well. Like all of that comes from, you know, about accidents and things like that, like very dark.
Like, oh really? I've never looked into like the lyrics to such extent. So like really? What? So like give me like an example.
It's based on a book. I can't remember the name of the book now, but it's quite dark.
Okay.
So it follows that, and a lot of other groups like Human League and stuff, they all followed that as well. That premise.
I quite like the Human League as well.
But and they used to be quite dark kind of in the beginning before they went all poppy in 81, 82. So yeah, they all follow this kind of like dark kind of like but I have to try and find the name of it. But yeah, it's quite interesting how they follow that, and it's not pop at all.
That's quite cool. It's almost like reminds me in some ways almost like a little bit like the Smiths then in that regard, in terms of like how some of the music is almost like one of the reasons it almost comes across as funny, like funny in a good way, is because some of it almost seems like really happy, but if you actually listen to the content, it's actually like really dark, and then there's like this really there's this hilarious, like almost like hilarious paradox about that. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm like a really huge big fan of the Smiths as well. Like I love all these dark, depressing bands. They're really cool. So
as you know, I think the Smiths are hilarious, but in a way that like I really like them.
Yeah, like Deftones, for instance. His voice is Chino. Like Morrissey. If you listen to it, and he says one of his biggest inspirations is Morrissey.
Do you know what? I've never heard that, and I've never thought about that. But obviously, I'm a massive Deftones fan.
Yeah,
and I like the Smiths as well. That's interesting. What his actual style of singing?
Yeah, it sounds a bit kind of, you know how Morrissey's got that. Yeah.
Like it's like he's singing sad.
Yeah, when he's singing sad like that, and one of his inspirations is Morrissey. Yeah,
I remember back in the day. That's why Josh and Drew both said that they didn't like Deftones, because I've like always liked Deftones, and so did our really good mate Jake Hardin, who I don't think you ever met, but obviously I'm sure you've heard Josh talk about him. He was like one of our really good mates back in the day, and me and Jake really liked them. But yeah, I remember Josh and Drew would always be like, I just find it a bit like, oh, moany, like. But I was just, I don't know, like, it's interesting how different people perceive things. I just thought it was really good.
Yeah, I really like it as well. Like, I think I'm definitely a bigger fan of Deftones than Josh. And when we went to see them, he actually didn't mind them too much at download. He was like, oh, actually, this is pretty cool. But yeah, it's definitely that. Not let's have a huge mosh pit type vibe. It was like, we'll just like stand and listen intently. It's more like that.
Yeah, he did tell me that he's like warm to them. I know he said that. I think I think he really likes the riff on, is it My Own Summer? Oh yeah. Shove It. Yeah, I think he said that he just thinks that riff is well cool.
Yeah, they're really riffy and stuff, but I think vocally and maybe a bit lyrically, they're definitely that Smiths.
Yeah.
And a lot of those bands are, I guess, because you didn't really have new metal in the 80s or anything like that, so it's probably where they get a lot of inspiration from.
I think I like music that has like a lot of like ambience to it, if you know what I mean. And I feel like you can sink your teeth into it a lot. So I like a lot of bands that like to be honest, might even to some people come across as like a bit of, like melodramatic or something. But I almost like the substance of that. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not so like keen on stuff which is more like shallow. I like stuff like almost like regardless of what genre. So I think that's why I really like things like Deftones, because you can really sink your teeth into it. And bands also like Typo Negative. I feel like it's like a lot of like substance to it, and you feel that like the singer like cares like about what they're singing about. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Definitely. Like it's come from like a visceral place, and it's like a real outlet rather than just like, right, I've written a song and I just need to like write some lyrics because there needs to be some lyrics, really. Do you know what I mean?
There's like a new band at the moment called Sleep Token.
Yeah, I've heard of them,
but I just can't get in. It's weird because I should like them because I'm into that type of music, but his voice just sounds so whiny to me that I can't get into it. I just can't bear it. And Josh actually isn't that into it either. Right. It's a bit like that Deftones thing where he's like, oh, it's a bit like miserable. But to me, it doesn't mean anything. He's just singing sad for the sake of it. He doesn't actually mean it. To me, it just feels a bit like that.
Did they just release a new song?
Think so, yeah. And I think they're headlining Download as well, but that's what put us off Download, that they were like headlining.
Screw you guys.
So we only want to go on the Sunday, like to see people like, Spirit Box and stuff like that has a bit more meaning to it. But
there's a good lineup on Sunday, isn't there?
Yeah, like Korn. Yeah, they're on there too.
Yeah, I mean, I've always really liked Korn. I don't know if Josh likes them nowadays, but Josh was never really that keen on them back in the day.
Yeah, we went to see it. I really like Korn, and I was like, let's watch Korn. Like, this is rubbish. I hate it. Like the whole way through, like a moaning old woman. And I was just like, no, they're really good. They're actually really good. But I'm quite surprised they're headlining though on the Sunday at Download. I thought they'd be second stage material more. Yeah, I think.
Do you think it's maybe just because they've been out for so long now? It's almost like we'll bump them up.
Yeah, and probably they're cheaper. than other bands as well to pay for.
Yeah, there might be. I remember when me and Josh went to Download 2007 together. They headlined the second stage, and I can't remember who was headlining the main stage that night, but me and Josh broke up, and he went to go watch whoever was ever headlining the main stage, and I went to go watch Korn in the tent. But I definitely think I made the right decision, because I think apart from anything else, like it was like a bit cooler because it was the evening, and I think it's just quite a cool vibe in the tent, and probably the sound's a little bit better, and obviously there's less people there, and it was like a really, really freaking good set. But I can't remember who Josh went to go and see instead. But
yeah, when we saw them last time, they were good, but they were on the main stage. It didn't carry as well as I wanted it to, though. So I do think they're better on a smaller stage, Korn, than like a big headline on a Sunday, unless they just put the ramps up more. I don't know, but it just didn't. You could tell the rage. Yeah, when they're on stage. But you get that with a lot of bands now. You can just see like you're tired. You're not carrying this out very well.
The only thing that I sort of like, the only beef I have with Korn is I remember reading an interview with Jonathan Davies, like this was like years ago now, and he was like really heavily criticising Metallica from sort of like the Load era onwards, and that just annoyed me a bit.
Yeah, didn't they cover Metallica? Didn't they do their special with
them? They did one.
Yeah.
Didn't they? They did almost like a very new metal-y, less technical version of one.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure, because Metallica did an MTV special, didn't they? And it was all these fans.
Oh, yeah, like Avril Lavigne did like, was it Sad But True? No, she did Fuel. Avril Lavigne did Fuel. Snoop Dogg did a really weird version of something like, yo, no, we said but true. Bullwinkle, you should watch that. It's hilarious.
It's so good.
I'm just stereotyping you. Like, yeah, you like rap. You should watch it.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg, yeah, you know.
But you should watch that. You like Snoop Dogg, don't you? Yeah, right.
I do it to you all the time on Terror Tuesday. It's like, you like Drake? Come on. It always sounds a bit like Drake.
Yeah. Bullwinkle is here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
One of our cameras is broken, so we can't. So we might be losing out money this week because hands off the merchandise.
I'm one of Clare's spirits this week.
Yeah.
Bullwinkle,
floating.
Your face is one of our money makers.
Yeah.
The young ladies are like, I love Bullwinkle. But so we're going to pretend this week that Bullwinkle isn't he's died, and he's actually a spirit that's come back to talk to us in the studio. So that's what we're going with. But I'm trying to think of who hosted that Metallica special. But yeah, that was quite funny.
Did Limp Bizkit do it?
I think Limp Bizkit did. I'm trying to think what track he did. Wasn't it like Was it Sanitarium?
Can't remember.
Yeah, I feel
like Kid Rock and stuff, because Kid Rock did Sad But True, didn't he? The riff.
Yes. Yeah. I know he did. Yeah, he did the riff, didn't he? But I remember. Yeah, it was definitely
American Badass.
But I remember it was definitely Snoop did a real weird version. It was quite a weird special, really. I could definitely tell it was one of those things where like it would cut to like the Metallica guys. You could tell they were a bit like, this is a bit weird.
Yeah, I think it was that time as well that it was just like that type of like rock, like Metallica rock was like fading out. It was all new metal and all rap and all these pop punk type stuff, and they were like, we've just been landed with these guys. Whereas now I think if it was done, you probably get like more Mastodon stuff like proper bands.
Well, like it's like it about 10 years after that. I can't remember what anniversary it was at the time. I'm just trying to think. Maybe it was either 25th or 30th anniversary of like Master of Puppets. Do you remember? And like Roadrunner Records released like a honorary Master of Puppets album, but like a different metal band did like each track. Does that ring a bell to you?
That was Kerrang.
Oh, that was Kerrang.
It was in the free. It was free with and they did a Ryan, didn't they? Mastodon.
Yes. And Machina did Battery.
Yeah, and then
Trivium did like Master of Puppets, was it? Or something
might
like
have been,
that?
yeah.
But there was some really freaking good.
But they
covers.
Wouldn't be a good crossover for MTV at the time, would they? So it was just like hidden away, and I thought that was quite.
But those bands could actually play the solos and that. Whereas one thing I thought was quite funny about that one before, it was almost like none of the bands could. And as I said, like Snoop Dogg's version was like so comical.
Yeah,
it was like really funny. Well, I swear he wasn't even like singing in time with like the music or anything. It was just like really comical. Like, I'm just gonna do my own thing, you know. D-O-double-G.
Yeah, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
So like, what other sort of bands? Not like of any specific genre, but are there any other bands that you listen to or really like that you think would surprise people? An insight into the life of the Chief.
God, like so many that I listen to.
Like it's obviously I love, spot, isn't it?
Obviously I love Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Like that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm really like into my 80s kind of indie, like the Smiths, The Cure, things like that. I do like pop music as well. I do dabble with that. I go back and forth with that bit. I know this is like a swear word on your show, like ABBA.
Oh, man,
it's a bit I like a bit of ABBA and stuff, but not to the point where I would actually go out of my way to the O2 Arena and like see it, or like good ABBA Voyage or something. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You're quite a big fan of Oasis, aren't you?
I love Oasis.
I mean,
I'm
you are
Oasis fan.
You basically are like a female version of Liam Gallagher, aren't you? I mean,
what aggressive.
That's how you're known. Oh, Claire, basically the female Liam Gallagher.
Do you want some, mate? Do you want some?
Funny enough, I've got my green coat in the car as well. I could have brought that in. But
I
love that. Yeah.
Swaggered in, like chewing gum, like really over the top.
Yeah, I loved Oasis like since I was about 9. I think
that one seems quite random to me.
Yeah,
that one seems quite
everyone
random.
Always thinks that because I really want to get tickets to go and see them. But I thought, how can I bring Josh along to see Oasis because he's very out of place? Where I just think, it's a bit. I
reckon
think he would cry.
You reckon he'd cry?
You'd probably be like, oh, all these people around me. But yeah, I'm a big Oasis fan. I think like because my dad always like watched the documentaries and stuff, so I think I like got into them like that, and I thought, yeah, they're cool, like they're hard.
Yeah.
But actually,
they're hard.
Yeah, they're hard. As a little kid, and then now you just think they're just like comical.
Yeah, because really, if you look at them, they don't really look hard, do they?
No, they're just like Northerners, basically. Just accent is
basically,
like,
they're from Manchester.
Yeah,
and they're a bit gobby.
Yeah, it's like
they're a bit gobby, and like the fame's probably gone to their head a bit.
Yeah.
So as a result, they're just a bit like,
come on, have it.
Yeah.
If you beat me up, I'll just pay a load of people to beat you up, mate. And then I'll say it was me.
And you're like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, like Elastica as well. I really like Elastica.
Yeah, I used to like them back in the day.
Yeah, and like stuff like new stuff as well. Like I really like Chapel Rowan and
haven't even heard of them.
Yeah,
Chapel Rowan.
She is just a solo artist. I really like. I play it on our show quite a bit. So yeah, but she's a bit different, kind of like a bit 80s.
Right.
She is so not like
like poppy.
Yeah, so not like Sabrina Carpenter type pop. It's a bit more cooler than that.
H-O-T-T-O-G-O.
Yeah.
Right.
Hot to go.
Oh, nice.
It's like catchy and stuff, but it's not like not like Barbie doll kind of music.
Right.
It's not like that.
It's not like Aqua.
Yeah, not like that.
I'm a Barbie girl.
That's Josh's favourite.
Yeah. I could just imagine Josh like prancing around the kitchen cooking to that.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like dance music, just like random, because obviously a lot of dance acts and stuff only release like one track and things like that. But and I like rap music as well.
What sort of rap do you like?
More like 90s though. I'm definitely more like Tupac or Dr. Dre,
Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, stuff like that. And yeah,
me too. I'm definitely I think probably from that era, like I'd say that like Biggie Smalls is probably my favourite rapper of that era. I don't really listen to much rap, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I went through a stage of listening to a lot of rap though. So I do like do you know what I mean? You could whack on a lot of rap songs and I would know like all the words, and I think it'd probably surprise people, especially if you've only met with me within like the last like 8 or 9 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of like I think like some of that classic like Notorious B.I.G. like Dr. Dre, like Exhibit is another one. I think a lot of like Exhibit stuff, I think he's pretty like underrated. I think Exhibit had some really good tracks.
Yeah.
And like even like, I like the really really retro stuff because I loved all that weird like almost like 8-bit sound they had. Like the original like NWA stuff.
Yeah, I really like
a
that,
lot of like old school Eazy-E stuff and like Nate Dogg and stuff like that. It was cool, man.
It just felt like as well it was more fun and some of it had a bit more meaning, not like trying to offend Nathaniel now.
Nathaniel.
I'm gonna sound like an old woman now, like, I don't like any of the rap anymore. Like I listen to Kendrick.
That's what I'm like. That's what I'm like to him all the time. Everything I say to Nathaniel, I'm like, it was better in my day, mate.
Yeah. Like watching like Kendrick Lamar the other day, I was like, I like a couple of the tracks that he did, and the rest I'm like, can't really understand what he's talking about, really. Yeah. Like I just thought it's not like the old days.
No, I've turned so much into like that stereotypical granddad. I mean, I'm 35, but I already might as well be like a 70-year-old granddad. Like literally, like whether it's like wrestling or like anything that me and Bullwinkle talk about, I'm like, yes, all right, but it's not as good as it was in like the year 2000.
Yeah, like when I watched Scissor at Glastonbury, I was like, what the hell is this? I tried to get into it. I watched the whole
Scissor.
It was a very boring set.
It was the most boring thing.
Is that a rapper? Is it?
Yeah, it's a female
like
rapper.
An R&B artist.
Yeah, like rap R&B type stuff.
Okay.
Like I don't know what it was.
It's more of like a singer, but like R&B. She collaborates with like a lot of rappers and stuff. But it was a really boring set.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really like get into that at all. And yeah, like some of the new stuff coming up, I just not that into. Like Cardi B and people like that aren't too bad. Like got a couple catchy stuff, but yeah, it's like
I'm so surprised that you like some Cardi B stuff.
No, I just thought if you listen to it on like, you know, if you listen to it anywhere, it's like I can take it, I can keep it on. I'm not gonna switch it off. But
do you like? Because I think I feel almost like conflicted with my own feelings on this. Do you feel that maybe as someone that likes some like really deep music though, do you ever feel like it's a bit maybe, I don't know if annoying is the right word, but you know, like some of the lyrics are like very like shallow and also like not very hard to write in terms of like a lot of it's like repeating the same line over and over again. So as a result, I sometimes think that, like, you know, when you're like, if you're like a real like, whether it's like art, you know, whether it's like sculpture, paintings, like music, if you're like a real if you can like appreciate and you're a real fan of like the history of like some like masterpieces and you can appreciate how much like blood, sweat and tears has gone into that, do you ever think though when you listen to music like that it's almost like a bit cheap?
Yeah.
Do you ever think that?
Because you can tell it just sounds like they made it in their bedroom like real quick.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be you would go into the studio, you'd have loads of people there, you'd be making up ideas. You know, obviously people still do that now.
Yeah.
But with a lot of like the more popular stuff and that, it's like it's just on a laptop, like and just singing to a little mic and then that's it. And yeah, I like the process of like an album. Like you can tell they've worked. Like if you see like the Mastodon's videos and stuff like that, when they've done their album,
good.
You're just like, this is really cool, and this is the meaning behind it. Like really means something. But you could just tell with some, not offending Nathaniel again, like rap people and stuff. It's like I've just done that on a whim on a little recorder on the tour bus, like and just put it on a laptop.
I think that could probably be the argument with like a lot of genres there.
Yeah,
like,
pop, you get that though as well.
Not singling out like rap. I was just singling out. I was using Cardi B as an example.
Yeah,
more
she's a great
example
music,
of it.
She's a great example of it.
It's just easy to get out. It's cheaper to make that way as well because being in a studio for weeks on end is so expensive now. Yeah. That that's why some bands won't tour. They go bust and they just give up. Whereas that's why pop, to keep it going, it's got to be done on the cheap and it sounds cheap.
I think rap's one of those genres as well that's almost been the pop of the last like 10 years or so. That it's grown so exponentially.
I agree with that.
There's so much coming out. Like there's so much meaningful.
Like originally, it was a controversial alternative style of music when it came out. I mean, that's like it was the first ever genre to have the parental guidance. They're quite iconic little black and white parental guidance. It was I think it was Ice-T, wasn't it? It was for an Ice-T album back in the day, like one of his first albums. And I think he ended up having to go to court for it and everything.
Oh yeah, because he did like Cop Killer, wasn't it? And stuff like that.
Yeah, and he ended up having to go to court and all stuff. So it was almost like a very similar to metal in that regard. You know, like when Black Sabbath came out, there were like Christian people in the UK like condemning it, saying this thing should be like banned, it should be allowed to be sold in shops. So I think they were like rap and metal were very similar in that regard. Whereas like rap has become very mainstream, and as a result you see the same sort of thing happening with mainstream as you know, the same criticisms that people have for pop with you know, like overly manufactured you know, like pop idol type musicians rather than you know, some like really, you know, some really like iconic people from the 80s, like you know, like pop stars from the 80s that arose and that are really fucking good. I mean, really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so Stock Aitken Waterman, that was like a factory coming out. Everyone's like, oh, it's cheap, you made and all the rest of it, but people actually love that music now. Like, I really like it, and it's just like very nostalgic. Whereas back then, it is a bit like how we're talking about now, like, oh god, like it's just like cheaply made and stuff. But you never know, in the years to come, people may like it even more, and maybe revisit it and see it in a different light.
I think there's so much being made as well that like a lot of stuff, even if there is meaningful and lyrical rap and you know, all these other subgenres that are getting released, they sort of go to the wayside of all the people that are just manufacturing whatever's easiest and most accessible, and that is stuff like Cardi B or like, you know, a lot of the songs that do go the most viral, so probably the stuff you might hear more frequently isn't necessarily the cream doesn't rise to the top. Unfortunately, and as I said, I feel a little bit conflicted about it in my head, because sometimes I think, am I looking into it like too deeply? Like at the end of the day, if it's bringing people enjoyment, then it's bringing people enjoyment. But I just think at the same time, like you know, there's a lot of like songs I listen to and bands I listen to, and even though I've been like really heavily into music all my life, and I've like written songs myself, like I'll listen to some songs and I'll be like, I don't know how they wrote that. Not like in like a really like overly deep way, like I don't know how they wrote that. I'm talking like I physically don't know how they wrote that. Do you know what I mean? Like, because every obviously musician as well has their own process, and I can't really like
decode it. Like a lot of songs I can sort of decode, because I think if you know like your chords and you know how to write a track, you're like, oh, I can see how they did this and they probably did that and then did this. But like some tracks, as you said, like Mastodon would be a good example. Lots and lots of bands. Yeah, like Typo Negative would be another really good example. Like you listen to their music and it's like so not formulaic. Yeah. That I'm like, I would love to like sit down and like hear like, okay, like how did you write these songs? Like hear the process, because I think that would be like almost like this like insane, almost like masterclass workshop. I feel like it would be almost like. It would be like almost like sitting with like Leonardo da Vinci in his little studio and like seeing him do his stuff. It's like it would be like mind blowing. Whereas I think that's one of the things that makes it impressive to me. Almost makes me feel like awe inspired. Whereas I said, if it's just like some lady like rapping about her vag with like the same, pretty much the same line like over and over and over again, I'm like, well, that's not very hard, is it? No, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny that, like, with Mastodon, like Brent Hines, like his guitar is like, are you even playing a chord? Like, but it sounds good still. When we saw him, when we went backstage with them, he came on stage and he was like practicing. It was like so funny to see. He came with half his shirt undone, like looked like he just literally got out of bed and he was like playing along. And I was like, you're not even really looking at that. You're just literally just like going along. It just felt kind of like he doesn't even think about what he plays. But I don't mind that though. It's like he's feeling the mood at the moment. It just feels a bit more like that rather than A, B, C or whatever. It just.
I think that's really good though. I think it's I think you do tend to have, obviously there's like a broad spectrum, but I think you have musicians that tend to be like more technical, and then musicians that tend to be like more feely, and then obviously there's like that on, and then you have that on extreme ends, and then obviously there's a broad spectrum in between. You know, you might have like someone that's almost like a bit of both. And I think obviously it's really good to have. I mean, I think, you know, someone like obviously like Kurt Cobain would have been very high on the feely end and not overly technical. Do you know what I mean? Like he's never going to blow anyone away with terms of like what he's doing necessarily, say on the guitar, but what he could do was like captivate people by like he could write songs that people could easily empathize with, and they were just, at the end of the day as well, they were just catchy. And if they're catchy, they'll stick in your head. And then people walk around singing them, and then they want to listen to it again, and they want to buy records.
That's like Elton John. Yeah. He doesn't read music. Yeah. He just feels it when he's on the piano.
It's amazing like how many, like, same with Paul McCartney. I think like Kurt Cobain, lots of musicians are the same, aren't they? It's like mad how many like charting musicians, they have no idea.
They just go in the studio and like just got to make it 3 minutes long and just play about and see this is how I'm feeling today, and then then it's done. But that's like really cool as well, I think, because you know they're actually properly feeling it. It's not just being written for them or whatever, and then they just like got to sing or like do what they're supposed to.
Yeah, I can't remember what musician it was. It was literally just the other day I heard this, and I'll try and remember. And he said that he was obviously he could start learning how, like, almost like the like learning music like properly in a traditional sense, but he said that he was like scared to do so because he felt like if he learned the proper way to do, like the quote unquote proper way to do things, then he would almost like forget his own way of doing things. Like that would like mess with him, because he's obviously just generated his own style, and so then if he like learned what's considered the correct way, it would like mess with how he would normally write a song. And I thought that was actually like a really good point as well.
Probably make it sound like a lot of music that's already been released as well. Like if it's following those same sort of set of rules, then it'll probably come out sounding like something that's already been made.
And that's like Opeth or another band that I really like that. Like they don't sort of do things in like a proper way. They just sort of like will just go off on a tangent with their tracks, but that's what makes it sound so cool to me.
So do I. Like you get people like Ed Sheeran, for instance, having to go to court back and forth all the time over copyright. It's because it's too just like formulaic, or it sounds too much the same. So that's how that happens. And
his literal like defense in court, wasn't it? Wasn't there something like crazy, like he compiled a list and there was something like 300 number one songs since like 1930 that had like exactly the same chord progression. So he was arguing that like, well, if you're going to sue him, and then you're going to have to sue all the, and like, do you know what I mean? Or like he should be sued as well, because was it Marvin Gaye? Was it? I think something like that.
That was one. There was two of them.
Right.
So one of them, he worked with two people, and they thought he copied their song, and I listened to it, and it did sound exactly the same.
Right. Fair enough.
And then the other one was Marvin Gaye. But Marvin Gaye, that's happened twice now. That happened to that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams song. They did that Blurred Lines, and it sounds exactly the same.
Wow.
So it's, but then you listen to other songs and you think that sounds very similar too. But they just get away with it because you can't look into every single band or artist, because it's just, you're going to be taking everybody to court.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's like, where is that line between like being, say, like inspired by something and then like out and out copying them. Because even say like with Metallica, I know that early in their career, they were so inspired by like Diamond Head and like other bands that like I think like was it UFO as well, bands like that. And if you hear some like early Metallica riffs, especially if like Kill 'Em All, they do sound like you can literally go on YouTube and type in like I mean, I don't think they're actually stolen. Do you know what I mean? But if you just type in something like stolen, Metallica stolen riffs, and it's like you listen to like a random riff from, I don't know, like Phantom Lord on Kill 'Em All, and it sounds a bit like a Diamond Head riff, and you're like, I can sort of see that. But I think, as I said, there's like a fine line in there between like emulating someone or being inspired by someone and just like actually copying them in a way that's like almost like copyrighty.
Yeah,
like
with Bullet for My Valentine, they sometimes sound a bit Metallica. Even when we went to see them, I was like, that's a little bit James Hetfield on there, but it's like, well, Death by Kai did that though as well. They sounded like the two together and a bit Trivium on top of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I definitely could hear. But I think and you hear lots of musicians talk about this. I think a lot of the time, like a musician's sound is almost just like the combination of their favorite artists.
Yeah,
I mean, like Justin Hawkins like openly says that like. He pretty much just writes like all like Darkness riffs. They're almost just like his two favorite bands are Queen and AC/DC. And if you think about it, like the riffs that Darkness like come up with, they do almost sound like a cross between like an AC/DC and a Queen riff.
He kind of holds his hands up more about it though. Yeah. He's more like like I love those bands. I don't care. Yeah. Like I love it, and I think they probably got more respect from him for doing that rather than trying to hide it, because it's a bit hard to hide. So
I don't really think there's any need to hide it, is there either?
I just there's some bands are like, no, we're like this isn't our person we like to follow, or whatever. And it's like, it so is. Like you sound just like them, you even dress like them. Yeah, it's the same. So.
I think that's like I think it's quite like a valid, fairly warranted criticism of oh man, I'm having a brain fart now. What's that band? And they basically, everyone says like, yeah, they're really good, but they just sound like a bit too much like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, I was thinking of them as well.
Oh, I can't remember what they're called. I'm having like a brain fart.
I know, it's a little guy.
Yeah. He's like a little guy with like frizzy hair.
Yeah. And they dress like 70s as well.
Yes.
I was like, you have exactly the same voice.
Yeah.
And the instruments are played in exactly the same way. You've just written different lyrics to it.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Exactly the same like guitar tones and everything. Yeah. I can't believe I can't remember what they're called. But
yeah, I know the one.
I remember we played them on Russian Roulette not too long ago. I picked one of their songs and we were talking about it, how like crazy it is that they literally just essentially copied the whole sound.
I've even like got one of their songs in my head like right now, but I just can't think of who it's from.
Can you think of the name of the song?
No, I can just remember how it goes. It's like,
just one look at your life, and in darkness realize.
There you go. Sold, mate. That's
all I'll see what I can do with that. I'll see what I can do.
I mean, you shouldn't have any problem, man, to be honest. Like, come up with it from that. We'll think of it at some point.
Yeah,
anyway.
we're thinking of it midway through something else.
Yeah. Any other sort of like artists that you think might sort of like that people might be surprised that you like? I know it's hard to think on the spot, isn't it?
Nathaniel, think for me. What have I played? A lot of. I don't know really, because I played just so much. Like I love 80s stuff.
Yeah, there's so much good 80s stuff.
I was born
Echo and the Bunnymen. Have you ever listened to much Echo and the Bunnymen?
Like them.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're really good.
Even bands like Icicle Works. Yeah. They're quite good. Like, check out some Icicle Works stuff.
Yeah, like 70s stuff too. Like, I really like my 60s music.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm really into like Dusty Springfield. Mm-hmm. I love the Beatles as well.
Fair
I'm
enough.
Big Beatles fan. And the Rolling Stones.
I like the Rolling Stones. I've never really gotten into the Beatles. Weirdly, I have, like, for about the last 5 years. It wasn't until about 5 years ago I started really getting into 60s stuff. But, I really do like a lot of 60s stuff. Yeah. I love the almost, like, they're so well-crafted songs. And they're super, super catchy. But it's almost, like, mad because of how much music's evolved. A lot of those tracks are only, like, 2-3 minutes long.
Yeah, Nathaniel has that problem when we put the tracks on for me.
And I think if you're, like, obviously you're, like, used to listen, a lot of the stuff that we listen to, it's, like, not uncommon to have, like, 8-minute long tracks.
Yeah.
And then it seems almost like such a weird polar opposite to have, like, a track that's, like, 2 minutes long.
Quick and short and stuff. But, yeah, I like the Beatles because I loved all the different albums, how they, like, progress and, like, change their style and everything like that. Like, I really want to do, like, the Beatles tour and stuff with Joshua Haight, because every time he comes in the room, I'm like watching a documentary on them or like the Rolling Stones and stuff. So I really want to do things like that. I've always wanted to see them live, actually, the Rolling Stones.
I've never managed to get into the Beatles. It's one of those bands that, like, I respect their place in history, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I respect the fact that, like, there's probably a lot of bands that I really like and look up to that probably wouldn't exist without them. And I think that's the issue that I've also had in the past. If anybody that's like more into, I don't know, like newer metal, not necessarily new metal, but say don't respect Metallica, I'm like, man, you can't. Like, without Metallica, you wouldn't have modern metal. Even bands like Slayer even admit that. Even bands like Slayer, who I feel like in almost like, I feel like it's like less controversial to love Slayer in the metal scene. Like everybody loves Slayer. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it's like there's a certain group of crowd that almost are a bit like, maybe I will say I like Metallica, but I'll only say I like up until Injustice for All. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe even just Master of Puppets. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like, you know, even like whether it's like Slayer or like Mastodon or Gojira, like you need all of these bands openly say like their main inspiration was Metallica, or maybe not Slayer's main inspiration, but they basically say that like if it wasn't for Metallica they would have never made it.
I think as well because they're most popular first, as well, like it was more mainstream,
easy to hate,
and it's more accessible. So those bands, like, you know, probably young kids, teenagers, that's the first album they probably would have bought over Slayer. As well, you wouldn't at first go out and buy a Slayer album. You need like I always say like my first introductory band were like Green Day, to metal and punk.
Mine was like Nirvana.
Yeah. So that's what then you like go deeper and deeper. But I think that's like if you really love metal, it starts with Metallica. It's not Black Sabbath or whatever. Black Sabbath's more as you get older, I think.
Yes.
They're more of like a refined taste.
Yeah, like almost like a metal connoisseur.
That's what I think. You know, everyone
sat with a brandy.
Yeah, they're like the, you know, they started metal or whatever. And I think
it's like almost like a historian, like a historian's metal band. By this point, which almost like sounds almost like rude in itself.
Do you know
what I mean? It sort of is. Do you know what I mean? Like Black Sabbath like came out in 1970. And I feel like a lot of people even that love metal just probably wouldn't listen to it nowadays, or maybe would just think almost like wouldn't understand maybe why it was so controversial at the time, and also because, you know, you think metal nowadays and there's so many like ridiculously down-tuned like mental riffs and like mental like black metal and death metal vocalists, and if you listen to Black Sabbath nowadays it doesn't even really sound heavy. Like they've got some doomy riffs, like some heavy doomy riffs, but like it just sort of sounds like it's for a start it's super bluesy, so it's just got that almost like that cool bluesy sound, which I don't know, it's hard to like feel like crushed and oppressed by something when it's just so bluesy. And obviously like Ozzy's vocals aren't like, it's not like he's like roaring.
No, that's why I think to me they're just more, I know it's sacrilege, like more rock, that end, like that blues type sound. Their influence is definitely more like late 60s type bands, I think, as well.
But I do think of them personally as like the first metal band, and I know there's obviously some people say like Judas Priest, some people even say like Deep Purple, don't they? But like I do think of them in my head, I'm like, Black Sabbath the first like metal band. I don't care if they don't like, I agree with you, they might not necessarily sound by today's standards actual metal, but I will class them as metal.
I think their look is very different in that time as well. Coming up, like, they started wearing the black and the crucifixes. Other people didn't do that. That is very metal to do that, and goth as well.
I mean, that's like there's still like a subsection of metalers today, whether it's like do you know what I mean, all like the more sort of like doom metalers and like a lot of like gothy metalers like dress like Sabbath did in those days, like today, and it's because they're inspired by
whereas other ones around that time, like Deep Purple and stuff, not so much.
No.
They weren't like that.
They were more like rockers.
Just rockers,
weren't they?
Whereas they had that edge Black Sabbath. They were more like, we'll wear more black, we'll wear the crucifixes, we'll talk about, you know, all this like spooky stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of things. It's the lyrical content as well. Because obviously the title track on Black Sabbath, the opening track as well, like it is freaking dark.
Yeah.
And people, and like you hear a lot of people say that when they first heard that track, they were like scared listening to it. It is quite like a menacing like intro, really, isn't it? With like the thunderstorm, and then the like, it's almost like describing that like some freaking like demon stood in the room in front of this guy, which is quite like a scary scene to set, obviously. You know?
For me, I can't put them in like the same spaces like Metallica and stuff. But when I saw Green Lung, I was like, that's Black Sabbath.
100%.
That's more them.
I think exactly that.
Yeah,
because and they've got that bluesy, funky.
Yeah, they've got it a bit higher, like Green Lung. When you see them, it's a tiny bit of an edge on them more, but they're definitely more like that end, I'd say.
Oh, 100%. Like even like the way he sings, the way that I said they've got like bluesy riffs, like not overly concerned with like down tuning their guitars or putting like mental pickups in their guitars or anything like that. It's more just like, the feel of like that occultism.
Yeah, even Ghost, parts of that is very like that, actually a bit Blue Oyster Cult-y as well.
Yeah.
Ghost.
Oh yeah,
well.
Definitely. Yeah. Mixed with like a bit of like Genesis.
Yeah. In the middle.
Yeah, it's like Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, and like Genesis. Mixed. Mate, that's a good mix.
A lot of people love Phil Collins, though, the metalers. Like one of my good friends, he's really into his metal, but he loves Genesis and Phil Collins.
I have to say, he can write
he
can write a catchy freaking song, can't he?
He's very talented.
I really think like some of his tracks, like I don't even listen to him that much, like but when I do, it's one of those like, you know, one of those artists I think, man, he knows how to write a track that'll stay in your head.
Yeah, like on drums as well.
Yeah.
Like he's really like he's like good with everything. But I think like some metalers, they respect that. A lot of the more proggy type
musicianship.
Guys,
you respect musicianship.
Yeah. Even if it's some of the poppier stuff he did in the 80s, they're like, no, still love him. He's still good.
Oh man, 100%. Yeah, I think, and he's one of those artists as well. I think that you'll be surprised, like, because I think obviously everyone like first comes to mind is like, like you can feel it, you can hear it coming in the air.
It's very metal.
Yeah. But like, if you look into like how many hits he's written, and actually just like, I don't know, just spend half an hour like listening to them all, there's actually so many bangers.
Yeah, there's loads in there. Like, because I picked some for our show, like, and I'm like, oh, I could do that one, then I could do that one, and it swaps over, and
What's that one I'm thinking of? You know, it's like it's like down, you know,
Disturbed covered that song.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Greta Van Fleet is the band we're talking about.
Greta Van Fleet,
by the way.
Yeah, Greta Van Fleet, that's it. Yeah, the chorus in that song that I was just talking about though is like insanely catchy.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, man, I want to listen to it right now. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the lyrics, but I know the melody. Absolute banger. Yeah, Brent Hinds has left Mastodon, hasn't he?
I know. R.I.P.
Yeah, I know.
God, I can't believe. Like, I can believe it. Kind of.
Isn't he like really into like his country music?
He's like in like 3 other bands as well. I just think he doesn't want to tour.
Do you reckon that's what it is?
They have hardly toured at all. They've done Download once, I think, since lockdown. Before lockdown, I was looking at my tickets the other day. I would see them 2 or 3 times a year, all the time.
That's crazy.
Because I'm like obsessed. But I haven't seen them once since 2019 was the last time I saw them. And it does make me wonder. They're doing all these American tours constantly over and over again, which can be money because it's expensive to tour here. But it can also be someone's being a pain. As well, and I think he might be.
I've always like noticed that he's almost like the naughty boy of the band.
Yeah.
Like if one of them's going to say something controversial, it's definitely Brent Hinds. I've definitely like over the years, like, because I mean I don't care. People put their foot in their mouth all the time. I've done it loads of times myself, but so I think it's easy to judge. Do you know what I mean, like, behind a keyboard, especially if you're never someone that's like ever going to put anything ever in a public forum. But because maybe you don't empathise with it as much, but I've definitely over the years seen like 1 or 2 times where I've seen like some like post by Mastodon like apologising for something that Brent Hinds has said.
That's another thing as well. Like I said to Josh about this, like he said something, and it's a bit weird. The day after they said he's gone, Brian Taylor had a black eye.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, he hasn't punched him in the face, has he? Like, you just
that
don't know.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, and I just thought, and they're recording their new album at the moment as well.
Nice.
Well, we're supposed to be, so I don't know if that's been scrapped now. Unless he hasn't been. He looks the type not to show up. I've met him twice.
Oh, nice.
And he was like the nicest person ever. A lot of people do complain about him, say he was really rude and all the rest of it, and like, you know, doing all these interviews and saying the wrong thing.
He's a bit controversial, a bit like Phil Anselmo.
Yeah,
like, you hear some people and like, look, he is the nicest guy you can meet, but then there's still a controversy attached to him.
I met him at a sign-in. And he said hello and stuff, and he was just so lovely. He was just really. Wasn't the biggest conversationalist. He doesn't. You can tell he's quite. You know, I'm quite shy, or you know, I just into my own thing. I'm not here to like have loads of different small talks with you. But he seemed nice, and then the second time I met him, he just picked his hand up and stuff, and he said hello, and it's like really lovely. Never was off or anything. Like the whole band, they're all really nice. I've never met when I've met them, they've never been like mean or anything like that. I do just think. He just seems disorganised, and I think they all seem quite rigid and very into what they're doing. And if someone doesn't want to go on tour, if someone's not turn up to the studio, then that's it. We've got to
go.
go.
I think people as well need to like appreciate, like, didn't they like originally like found in like 93 or something? It was it was a long time ago, wasn't it?
2000.
Was it that
25
late?
years?
Was it that late?
25 years now for Mastodon.
But even so, yeah. So I mean,
he's an original founder. Though.
Yeah,
it's him
that's
and
what.
Troy.
Yeah, I knew that he was one of the original founders, and like even that, like I thought it was even longer than that. But like 25 years, it's a long time to be doing something, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've all been in bands with each other or without, crossed over with each other and stuff like that. But yeah, 25 is their 25 anniversary.
I think 25 years ago, Bullwinkle, you weren't even born.
Yeah.
You weren't even born. So it's a long time to be doing something,
Yeah, and that's why I was quite shocked. I was quite shocked with it as well, because I thought, actually, they've gotten over things before. So I thought he must have done something pretty bad, or he's been having like a massive hissy fit. I did
hear that he wasn't so like apparently like in like the inner circle, he wasn't so keen on their last couple of albums.
Yeah,
because I know that he was more active in the writing process especially in their first few albums, because he obviously did the majority of the vocals, didn't he, in the first couple of albums? And apparently like he was much more active in writing that, whereas the last couple of albums have been much more written by Bran.
Yeah, I do agree with him on that though a little bit. Right. The last few albums, like some of the tracks now are really, really good. But it's not consistent enough for me. Like, I think Once More Around the Sun was their last good album.
Really? You'd actually go as far as their last one? See, it's real funny, because I
love Mastodon's other albums after that, but not as much. I think it just sounds sloppy, the other ones. I don't,
really?
I think they're way more better put together.
See, that's so funny, because I would actually go. I'd actually say that Hush and Grim's my favourite Mastodon album.
I think it's because they've got their own studio now as well.
Yeah.
They've been like let off like the lead, so to speak, and it's like, oh, I can do what I want now. And it's like, no, you need a proper producer to say, no, that sounds rubbish. That sounds boring.
You need a Bob Rock.
Cut it up.
You need a Bob Rock to bust Kirk's balls. Equivalent.
It's messy. It's like they've got too much stuff going on in there, and it's like, ugh, no, I don't like it.
I don't know. Like, to me, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I don't think it sounds like too messy, personally. But I don't know. I think, like, to be fair, though, one thing I will say is, even though I would say that probably Hush and Grim's my favourite Mastodon album, I mean, I do definitely think that songs like More Than I Can Chew and what's the other one I'm thinking of? I can't think of what's on my head now. But I think it's like much better than tracks like was it Gobblers of Dregs? Or,
yeah.
Or I mean, do you know what I mean? I think that's like it does have like a couple of weak tracks on the album. But yeah, I think it's a really solid album. I'm having a brain fart. I can't think of the other. I'm gonna look it up. Song on that album that I absolutely love, because I would say that I put it in, when we were saying earlier on about like tracks that you can like really sink your teeth into. Like I think that about that album. I think a lot of the tracks on that album I can really sink my teeth into.
With some of the songs,
Sickle and Peace.
I like Sickle and Peace because you go on a bit of a journey with that one. I do feel like on some of them you go on a bit of a journey with them, but others I'm like, it seems some of them are a bit self-indulgent. Like, I need to talk about this, like, but it's like, you could have cut it up a bit more. Like, it's just
but
like,
mate, it doesn't have to be a 10-minute song, mate. All right,
come on,
wrap it up, punk.
Yeah, I need to produce Mastodon's next album because we'll get it right. We'll get number one with it.
Yeah, but, Chief Rock.
Yeah, I think
Bob
I'm
Rock's
a bit.
daughter.
Funnily enough, I think I'm a bit Willie and Luke with this. How when we went to download years ago, they said the Black Album, the best album, like that's like their last best album. Right. I'm like that with Mastodon. With Once More Around the Sun, I'm like the best album.
Right, okay.
After that, it's like, yeah, I love it, but I don't love it as much as the stuff before then.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Another track I really like on Instagram is Eyes of Serpents. I really like that. Eyes of Serpents, More Than I Could Chew, Sickle and Peace. I think those are probably my three favourite tracks on that album.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what would you say is like your favourite Mastodon track, if you had to say?
Oh God, I do swap around quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I think you naturally do, don't you? Like, I'm definitely like that with like a band like Metallica. Like, it could depend on the year, and it could like radically shift. One year I might say like Outlaw Torn, and then the next year I might say like Leper Messiah, and then the next year I might say I don't know, like some frickin' more like obscure Justice and Just For All track or something.
The last one I really like. They did this at Bloodstock and it worked really well at a festival. This is a long one though. The Tsar. That's a really good one. I think that one worked really well. I didn't think it was going to work, and it did, because it was all dark and creepy and stuff. They haven't done it live, I don't think, since in the UK. But that one was really good. And Curl of the Bow, I like that one. The Hunter's really, really good at. A lot of Mastodon fans don't like The Hunter, but I think it's a really good one.
Isn't that Josh's favourite album as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I got into Mastodon with, was The Hunter. The ones before that, I like bits and pieces and stuff, but I think The Hunter and Once Around the Sun are like the two biggies for me, which I think they need to like do again.
You might, I mean, to be honest, I think this sort of probably like explains why like Hushed and Grimm's probably my favourite Mastodon album, but my favourite Mastodon track overall is probably Oblivion.
Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah.
I think that's an absolute banger. But I mean, I can see what you're saying in terms of like, even though that's more in the formula, I would say, of more of like a like Hushed and Grimm, which obviously came out much later. But it's almost like it's a similar formula, I feel, to the Hushed and Grimm tracks. But I guess you could say, and this is where you said like a good producer might come in. I still think that Oblivion is like just under 5 minutes long or something like that. Whereas obviously, it's not like it's like 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love. I feel like that's got almost like got everything that I like about Mastodon in Oblivion. Like really good riffs, but it's like got like a lot of like deep meaning. He wrote that about his sister, didn't he? That died.
Yeah.
So it's got like a lot of deep meaning, and it's quite like obscure. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if you didn't know it was about his sister dying, you wouldn't be able to, like, you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to like some like the Da Vinci Code or something.
Yeah, because it cracked the sky, and Sky was his sister, and you think, crap. Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, and it's like really, it's a bit mixed up as well. Yeah, because like that's got the Tsar on it and stuff like that as well. It's all about Rasputin.
Oh,
and
right.
at home I've got my huge Rasputin poster with Mastodon at the top that they did for a gig, and I like that they've mixed the two together, so it's kind of like his sister but also about that Russian time, near the revolution and things like that, which is quite interesting.
Are you interested in that?
I love all stuff like that too.
What are your thoughts on Rasputin?
I definitely think he cursed them before he died. The Tsars. It's just a bit,
because he was almost like the Charles Manson of his day, but then mixed in with a bit of like, a bit weird though, because he seems like he was like a bit like strangely hard to kill.
That's why I think there was something about him, but he just took it a bit too far, like sleeping with like different women all the time and like having all these orgies, and I think he was just like living off of that fame that he had as a bit like a rock star.
But it's mad how like just like the same way that people are like, I don't understand how like Charles Manson could have taken people that were like seemed normal and then somehow convinced them to like say like kill people. It's like I don't understand. It's hard to understand, isn't it? Like he was so good at sort of like manipulating people, and I guess had such like charisma that he managed to like work his way into being like like the Tsar's like best sort of advisor / friend sort of guy. Like
you see interviews with Charles Manson, and he's not always going crazy in them. He's like talking very like this, and he's got like demon eyes as well. Charles Manson, like he's got hypnotic demon eyes. Like there's something about like Rasputin.
Like you can't really even explain it, but they look scary. And it's like, but like they don't have any of the trademarks that you would think look like would look scary about somebody. It's more just like the look in the eyes, isn't it? There's like a human,
a little bit too cold behind.
Like it's like there's no like you look at someone usually, and you can almost like maybe see that there's a vulnerability or an emotion behind someone's eyes, but with Charles Manson it's
like we watched two documentaries, the Menendez brothers one and the Charles Manson one. The Menendez brothers one, I was actually at the end thinking,
can you remind me who the Menendez brothers are?
It was two brothers in LA that shot their parents dead, and said they were being abused.
They were quite young, right?
They were like 17 and like 20 or something like that. And I thought, actually, you've got a bit of empathy there. You're not cold. Whereas the Charles Manson in an interview, I thought, you really don't care. You could go out now and be released, and you get somebody else to kill for you.
Talking of Luke Rose, I reckon there's a little bit of Charles Manson and Luke Rose. Do you know what I mean?
You can't quite work him out.
Like I don't think Luke's as extreme as that. Obviously, Luke's been my friend for a long time, but there's a part of me that thinks like, if Luke started a weird cult and ended up like convincing himself that what was best for society was to like randomly like kill some people that haven't really done anything wrong, I wouldn't be that surprised. Just, you know what I mean? Like, although, like, don't get me wrong, like, I don't think that Luke has anywhere near that same sort of, like deadness in the eyes. But he's like Charles Manson light.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like with Luke,
he's not like Marlboro Red.
Yeah.
He's like Marlboro Gold or whatever.
Yeah.
To use a cigarette analogy.
Yeah, I think everyone always gets sucked into Luke's world all the time. Like when we went to download with him and that, like he made me stay at download really because I thought he's just perking everybody up. He's making everyone work as a team type thing, but without really doing anything that much. Yeah. Like it was,
He's strange. Like he's very witty. He's very witty and he's very charismatic.
Yeah, he manages to pull back from stuff quite quickly as well. Like he said something about someone we were at Reading and was like making fun of them, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, they think they're going to beat us up, and they didn't. Like, it was just like
he's definitely one of those people that should have been beaten up a lot more than he has. Yeah,
and he just gets away with it all the time.
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, he hasn't ever like properly had a hide-in. Like he's he's definitely like been in like a couple of like little brawls, but like considering how much he's like towed the line and rubbed some people up the wrong way, considering that like he'd be the first to admit he's not like physically tough.
Yeah, it's like Charles Manson.
Yeah,
like, he never got into. Everyone else got into the brawls, not him. He was just sat back.
Yeah, it's not like he's like some Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
he didn't even kill any of them.
No, he literally just convinced other people to kill them for him. Yeah.
That's what he said. He didn't even really say, "Oh, here's a knife, go and kill him." It was just, and they were the wrong people that they killed as well. It was because it was Terry Melcher, I think he was supposed to kill in that house, who's a record producer. That's Doris Day's son.
Oh, right.
Because he did an album with him and screwed him over on it.
Right.
And
I heard that.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people don't know this. Did you know that, Bullwinkle?
No.
So Charles Manson, you can listen to his tracks. Charles Manson released almost like a Beach Boys style track in like the 60s.
They actually sound quite good as well.
Yeah, they were sort of right. It sounds sort of. I remember just like I can't even remember how the song goes, but I just remember thinking sounds a bit like the Beach Boys. He made like a very like 60s California. You know that 60s California sound. That's like really like classic, isn't it nowadays? You think of like Beach Boys and there's other artists too, but he made like a track a bit like that. And I think that he was like told he would have like this record deal and they push him, and then for some reason he wasn't, and he never let it go, and that's one of the reasons why he was like he had a lot of vendetta.
That's crazy.
It was the girls in the background singing on the songs, which sounds really creepy as well. And those were the girls that went round to the house and killed Sharon Tate, but it was supposed to be Terry Melcher.
The thing is that was brutal though, wasn't it, as well? Because obviously she was like pregnant,
nearly 9 months pregnant as well.
That is shocking.
And one of the people they killed was just in his car just to pick up a radio, and they like stabbed him. It was even like stabbing stuff in those days, I think some of them might have got shot as well, but to stab someone that many times is like, that is psychotic. That's not just revenge.
Did they ever like explain the Manson cultists? Did they ever explain like why they just killed Sharon Tate and that? If it wasn't even their like target.
Yeah, they just said they just felt they were asked to do it, so they did it, and they said something came over them, and they just felt like they had to keep going. There's a documentary on Netflix at the moment about it. It's so good, and they interview a lot of the women on there, and they just said, just had to keep going, and then you just got to just shrug your shoulders and get on with it.
Would you say, obviously, as somebody that is our foremost expert in this region on, like paranormal and stuff like that, do you think that there is any like supernatural element to say people like Charles Manson, or do you think it's purely they are just like evil in a more human way?
Nathaniel talked about this the other day on our Mystic Hour, where I feel like half of society is just you're mentally unwell. Yeah. You're just born, or it's triggers.
Yeah, like literally, like that's obviously what like a psychopath is.
Like the Menendez brothers.
Yeah.
The reason they did it, you can kind of understand why they did it, and it made you mentally ill.
Yeah.
Whereas with, I think, Charles Manson, I know he had a lot of different difficulties with childhood and stuff like that, but he looks like he was born evil.
Yes.
He does. And I think that can sometimes be either, demonic, or like possessions by spirit as well. You can get that too. That can also be like the women around him as well that did all these horrible things for him. You can be possessed by things like that too. That mystery, that energy can suck you in. That's why cult leaders are like so good at it, because sometimes they are born a bit different and have that stuff around them.
It's interesting. I was talking to Drew and Nathaniel about this last week on the show. I've gotten really into this guy called Chase Stevens, and he's like one of the US is like the United States for like foremost like experts on basically on like psychology, but he's even used by like the government to work in like the military, and he's been used to like talk to like psychopaths and sociopaths to try and like figure things out and almost like try and like decode them, see how they're lying, because he's just such an expert on psychology. And Oh man, I just had a brain fart. I hate it when that happens. Do you know what? I can't even remember where I was
sort of just a fake it till you make it type thing, and everyone around you believes that.
So yeah, he was saying that, like, obviously you would think that, say, to be the person in a room that people listen to the most, you would have to be the one with, like, say, the most correct information, for example. Whereas he said that is, like, not the case at all.
No, yeah.
It's all about basically, it's almost like how well you can almost like sell yourself.
Yeah.
So it's whoever talks almost like the most confident speaker in the room will be the one that people listen to, even if they're talking utter tripe. Yeah. Like, you could be talking absolute rubbish, so there could be like this really almost like annoyed, resentful person who really does know their stuff, and they're listening to this person, they're going like, why are people not listening to me, but they're listening to this absolute moron? I know that everything this guy is saying is absolute rubbish, but everybody in this room is listening to him, but nobody wants to listen to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll start talking, they're not even like listening to what I'm saying, even though I know that I'm right. But it's much more of like a psychological thing. It's like people just listen to whoever talks like the most confidently, the most loudest. You know, like, people are fickle, so if you like can maintain eye contact with somebody with like a smile on your face and tell them very assertively something, then people just sort of go, okay, you know, like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
And also making the people feel like, you're my friend, I'm taking you in, I'll love you. That is like so big.
Yeah, he said that that's a really big...
saying you're amazing. If you... people's egos are so easy to tap into. Like, you get it with a lot of mediums, and I hate it, it's a bit sickly, where they go, you're such a lovely person. And they're like, oh, am I? Like, and I think, no, you're not. Like,
you don't even know me.
That's why I always feel like, am I just too brutal when I go? Because I don't say that, you know. I just think, no, I'll just like leave you to one side. But yeah, you do get a lot of mediums like that as well, where they draw you in, go, you're an amazing person, I love you, spirit love you and stuff. And it's like you just intently looking at them, and it's a bit like going into a trance as they're doing it.
I feel like any honest and sincere person would appreciate that, though. Like, I don't know if you've seen those like t-shirts and hoodies that have seemed, to me, they seem to have just like sprung out of nowhere like a year ago. I told Bullwinkle about it. I've noticed a couple of them, and for some reason they like really well, I know why they annoy me. It's not for some reason. They really annoy me. I can't remember exactly what it says now, but it's like something like on the back of the t-shirt and the hoodie, and it says like, to whoever is reading this, just remember you're a good person. I remember I was stood at a buffet, right, in Shrewsbury, when we were on a little like family getaway, and I was like reading that, and I was thinking, you don't know I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I could be Hitler for all you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I could literally be a serial killer and nobody just knows about it yet.
Yeah.
And like, whoever's reading this, just remember you're a good person. I thought, no. And do you know what? That really bugs me as well, because I feel like not only is it just false, categorically false, but if the message you want to give everyone is that everybody is good, almost like regardless of what you do, then there's no actually incentive to try and be a good person.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to like incentivize like anything in life, really, but also especially things like being like a decent human being. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You should you should wake up every day and think like, oh yeah, this is like another chance for me to prove to the world today that I am like a decent member of society. Not just like wake up every day like, well, I am a decent member of society, so it doesn't matter what I do because I am. That's almost like a really weird way of looking at things.
Everyone's doing it at the moment. All these kind of alternative type podcasts and stuff like that. They're like, you're an amazing, you know, it's like, yeah, but that means anything bad you're doing, you're saying that's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why people do.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone's just an egomaniac.
But you can see why they are doing it, because if that's the message they're being taught, like, oh, okay, so I can literally do anything regardless of how immoral, and I'm still a good person. It's almost like a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, or I forgive you. It's like, you haven't earned that forgiveness yet. Yeah. It's like, that means you could do something really bad again. It's a bit of a Christian-y type thing as well. Like, I love you. I forgive you. You're doing everything great. And it's like, no.
Modern Christianity, wouldn't have flown 800 years ago.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you get kind of like more like evangelical New Age stuff where, you know, you've done something really, really bad.
It's almost like hippie
come
Christian.
Into the fold. A lot of people with 12-step programs and stuff like that do that type of thing, like you're doing. It's like, you've actually been really horrible to all these people, and now it's just saying you're a great person. It's like, no, you're not. Like, but yeah, it's like giving everyone just kind of like a get out of jail free card. I think sometimes that you've got to own up to your crap.
At the end of the day, it's like Monopoly, isn't it? If you're playing Monopoly and you get sent to jail, you got to stay in jail. You don't just live life like you're playing Monopoly.
Yeah,
you know you got to look after your finances, and if you go to jail, you got to stay in jail until you can get out of jail in a reasonable way. You can't just be like, well, I don't want to go to jail, so I'm not going. No. Go to jail.
We do it a lot with
do not pass go. Well. Do not collect
$200. With kids, people do it so much as well. Like, you're amazing, this, that, and the other. It's like not really teaching them anything.
Yeah, I
like
agree,
right from wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Josh's mum gets that a lot with the school. Like, she'll discipline them, and then the parents like, oh, you're right. Like, you're a good person. Like, no, you're not. You've just like been really horrible to that other child, and that it's. Yeah, you get it a lot with kids. I definitely see. You see parents and stuff like just like soothing like bad behaviour and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I think that's obviously one thing that I'm really conscious of as a dad, because obviously it's really important to be a very good parent and to try and be a very decent parent. But there's a difference between being a good parent and letting your kid get away with everything. That's not being a good parent. That's being a bad parent.
Yeah, you don't.
So you have to like think very carefully sometimes about when is the right time to switch from like smiley let's mess about dad to like disciplinarian dad. But I think especially more as time's gone on, I've been able to see, like it's become more like second nature to me when like at the end of the day it's like little things like if Emily asks Evie to do something and Evie ignores it, like that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Or it's like same with me, or if she continuously does something that we've told her in the past not to do, like that's showing like a disregard, like she's not, like she thinks there's no consequences for her actions. And obviously, like Evie on the whole is like a really, really good girl. So I'm not like saying that she's like some really naughty kid. Like most people are like, oh, she's a really good kid. Like it's more like most of the time it's like just harmless fun. But I mean, every kid obviously mucks about sometimes, and also. I think that almost to expect, she's only literally just turned 5. You can't expect someone of that age to naturally know how to act in the world. It's your responsibility to show them how to act. So while she is a very good girl, obviously it's our responsibility to like be like honing her, honing her.
No, a lot don't do that. Yeah, another thing I think I've realised since I was a kid and kids now, parents seem to do like stroke their ego quite a lot more now, whereas back then it would be more like you'd have to work. Hard for it, what I mean?
Man.
It's like you wouldn't get that at all then, would you? Whereas now it's like you're amazing, good job, everything's whereas I'd be like, yeah, right then.
I feel like even when we were growing up, like Britain had this like thing of like our society and culture that was like pretty brutal in terms of like even like families and that could be like pretty freaking like brutally honest and harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think now it can lead you down a dangerous path of thinking, I am amazing, aren't I? I am good at it. It's like, yeah, but you're not. Like,
yes, it's exactly that same as like that. Whoever's reading this, remember you're a good person. It's like, well, if everybody was good and everybody was amazing, it would almost make the words meaningless. It'd be like if you went around telling everybody in your life that you loved them. Well, then, say like your significant other. It doesn't matter if they tell you love you then, because you just tell everyone you love them.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So it's lost meaning.
Deeper as well. Like, so if someone says no, I don't love you. And you've been told for ages, you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're doing a great job, and then they don't, the reaction is like, rejection now is a real big thing for kids. And teens, 20s, they don't like rejection. They hate it. It's like, because I've been told I'm like, the princess or the prince of the house, and been getting my own way all the time, and then they get rejected as an adult. They're like, they go mental. They don't like it. It's just like, strange.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's strange. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't think, like I ever really had a problem with rejection growing up. I think it was just like a normal part of life.
Yeah, that's like me, because I think it wasn't that I was being told, that I was amazing every day either. I think it was just based in reality, my day and discipline and stuff, which you do with Evie. Like, it's...
Yeah, I think I definitely think one thing I appreciate about my family is like so my family always like worked very, very hard and stuff like that, and had a good sort of like business mind, if you know what I mean. So I was like very fortunate in that regard. But I'm appreciative that my parents, like they were like, they could be like brutal. Do you know what I mean? Like, my dad would constantly be rinsing me and calling me like a stupid boy if I ever did anything silly. Do you know what I mean? And my mum wasn't like my mum was a very like loving mum. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, she'd give me like hugs and stuff like that. But like, she wouldn't be like, if I did something really bad, she'd be like the person I was most scared of, not the person I was running to. She'd be like,
that's like my mum.
Scathing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but I'm really happy about that.
Yeah,
I'm really happy about
I think looking back, even though I hated it at the time, now looking back, I actually think it's good for me as a person to have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you got these things on T-shirts and stuff like that, I'm like, we need to go back to the 90s again. Like,
yeah. I remember I had this really good.
Real again.
I remember I had the CKY T-shirt, and I know it's like ridiculously juvenile, but it just said FUCKYOU. But then like the CKY in the middle was like really big and in their font. But then it's like so juvenile on it. But when I used to wear that when I was like 13, 14, I was like, just like walking around with just like someone just imagine, oh, what's that guy got on his T-shirt? That kid. Oh, right.
It's like the Cradle of Filth tops. My friend used to wear it because it's got gilded, on underneath. And he used to wear that around everyone. All these old ladies were like, disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just, I just think it's funny. That's okay.
Yeah. I had a Nirvana top as well that I remember I really liked, and I think it was like a bleach top, so it said Nirvana bleach on the front, but then on the back it said something like pot smoking. It said something like pot smoking, Satan worshipping, and then there was another line. I can't remember what it was, and then under that it was like mother effer. And I was just like, the little edgy me when I was like 13, like
that's your pushback against the shirt you saw at the buffet.
Yeah, but it's weird, isn't it? How it's like, as you were saying, Claire, it's like almost like alternative people that seem to be like almost pushing a lot of this stuff now.
A lot of them as well. I do see online. They seem like they've had mental health issues in the past, and there's like they're self-soothing by saying all this stuff. And it's like, no, that isn't for everybody. Like, it helps you, but it's not going to help everybody else. And I hate, like, watching them. You see them on Instagram and that, a lot of them, like,
it's quite pushy, isn't it?
Love you, like, peace, like, love and light and all the rest of it. And
it's so hippie-ish.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, that, I mean, that isn't my, truth is in the eye of the beholder. But to me, when I think of, like, balls to the wall metal and why it sort of appealed to me, whether it was, like, bands like Metallica or bands like Pantera, or even like bands like Black Sabbath. As I said, not because of their music, but like there's like a no nonsenseness about them all. Like the individuals in the band and the music they make, which is very much like no nonsense, almost like common sense, no nonsense, balls to the wall. And that's one of the things that always really appealed to me about the genre. Not like let's like all sort of be like weird, like hippie, like
they don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah,
they don't want real life.
Ignorance
real
is
life, is hard, and it is hard. But they don't like that. Yeah. But they're trying to make everyone dance to their tune. But that's like cults as well. A lot of people that went into cults have had issues with runaways, like Charles Manson, stuff like that. We don't like the real world. We're making our own world. But their own world is warped. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's not right. You've got to live in the real world. That's the whole point of living. It's
100%, 100%. And I think as well, like obviously, like things that are worth having in life, or any like real true feeling of accomplishment, comes through doing something hard.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like some groundbreaking, like first man or woman ever to achieve something in the world. It could just be doing something like hard that day. Regardless, like physically or mentally, just getting through something.
Yeah.
But then all of those things like obviously accumulate and then like add up over time.
Yeah, I was invited to a group a few years ago now, and it was just horrible. Like I was the only real. If you were there, you probably would have like, I can't stay here for 5 minutes longer. It was was horrible. But a lot of them, you could tell again, have mental health problems in the past, alcoholics, stuff like that, and and now they're all like, we can't get vaccinated, we can't do this, we can't do that. We're in our own little safe little world with each other, and the stuff they were saying, I just thought, oh, just get real. Yeah, like. That is just a load of rubbish, like what you're talking about right now. And it's all like love and light, and everyone's hugging each other and be like really soft and gentle and speaking very slowly. Yeah, I'm like, just talk normally, for God's sake.
To be honest, I find it quite cringe.
I hate it. Was literally the cringiest thing of my life. I was there for like 3 hours, and it was the longest 3 hours of my whole life. Wow. It was horrible. And as a psychic medium, people always think, oh, you're like us. Yeah. I'm not like that at all. I feel like I'm a psychic medium. I do see spirits, I do see future things, but I've still got both feet on the ground. Yeah. I'm still living in reality. I'm still using my common sense about the world as well, which a lot of people come to see me as well for, because like, you're not going to give me a load of rubbish. You're going to tell me as it is. Yeah. But yeah, then you do see some people or go in these groups and stuff, and you think
it's like their own weird version of like Alcoholics Anonymous.
It is, because,
whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Because they don't want to face that reality. It's like, this is our little safe place, because you've got like out there ideas and weird ideas like me and stuff. And I just thought, no, I think back in the day, I think you might have been in an institution.
Yeah, I think that too. I think that too.
Yeah, like now it's just like you've been set free into the world and you can't deal with it.
Yeah, so bring back those Victorian era freaking.
Well, some of them I think. Well,
yeah, me too. I do as well. I'm like
the woman with the top on. You're like, man,
yeah, definitely. Give this lady some electroshock therapy.
Yeah, like
I'm joking about that, but
it winds me up how a lot of like psychic mediums or people that do astrology alternative things do get tarred with the same brush, and we're not like that at all. A lot of us of like normal families.
Oh, you're an individual at the end of the day, aren't you?
Yeah, and they just think that you're into all these weird conspiracy theories. Like I was saying to Nathaniel the other day, someone asked me a question: do I have a microchip in my arm from when I had my vaccine and stuff? Yeah,
is that a thing?
Apparently apparently
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah,
well, it's like a theory. It's like a
5G'd up theory. Or something. It's like, connecting up.
Have you got 5G in your arm, mate?
Yeah.
Mate, well, if I did, my phone would have much better signal.
I was just thinking, me now would be like, are you mental? Like, what the hell?
Are you
like,
mental?
Properly like Wayne's World.
Are you mental? Do you know what? I feel like one of my issues in general is that we aren't. It's like frowned upon to call clearly mental people mental nowadays.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I was reading this thing. I think it was literally this morning, and it was about how this new term is coming out. This new term called MAPS. It's if someone's a MAP, and it's supposed to be a sympathetic term for a minor attracted person. Right, and I was like, "What you mean, paedophile?" That society's going in a bit of like a weird direction when you've got let's have some. I know a lot of things in life are grey, and a lot of things are like nuanced, but we have. I feel like we have to have objective right and wrongs to keep, because otherwise, I feel like everything will just descend into madness because everyone will just be going, "Well, in my opinion." I just killed that guy, but in my opinion, that wasn't the bad thing to do, man. Or I just kidnapped that kid, but to me, that was the right thing to do. And it's like, no, like you have to have some objective right and wrong.
Yeah,
it's the cornerstone, isn't it? It's the cornerstone of society. If you don't have that, then the whole foundation crumbles.
I was reading about it. It was like it's sort of this whole sort of way of thinking is it came out of like postmodernism, which sort of like slowly grew in popularity. After the World War II, like it's like the first few decades, it was like barely a thing. As like every decade that's gone on, it's become a little bit more of a thing. Whereas you can see why so many like teenagers and young people are so confused nowadays because it's almost like the idea that there is no objective right and wrong.
Yeah, it's too blurred.
Yeah, that everything is just an opinion, and that there is no objective right and wrong. So I mean. What a confusing... If you genuinely believe that, then that's a really confusing way to live your life.
Yeah, you get so many confused people like that come to me asking questions and stuff like with work and things like, and they just actually want a bit of routine and a bit of like, right and wrong, just to lay it down. And they're like, oh, okay now. I'm like reset now that I've seen you. And I'm like, but yeah, like because of the world, the TV you watch or like the news and stuff like that, you're like, what is right? What is wrong? It's like they've been cancelled, but they can't be cancelled. And it's just like so confusing. I think we were definitely lucky to not sound like an old woman again, like to be brought up in like more 90s, late 80s and stuff for me. I feel like it was like a very no nonsense decade at the end of the day, wasn't it? 90s. It wasn't confusing. You knew where you stood. You knew if you were a child, you were a child, and an adult was an adult, and this is right and this is wrong.
Man, I think about all the stuff like the naughty stuff I did in like primary school and secondary school, and I was rightfully held accountable for anything like naughty I did. And I don't, as an adult, think I shouldn't have been. I think that, no, I definitely should have been. Every single time I was reprimanded. There might have been the odd time some the douchebag teacher might have gone over the top about something, but the majority of the time, I definitely had what was coming to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think that can happen. When my mum went to school in the 70s and that stuff she talks about, I think, God, that's like brutal.
Bit more physical.
I think we got it kind of sorted out in the 90s.
I think it was almost like the most enlightened.
The sweet spot.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. It was a sweet spot.
That's why I think that's the best decade ever.
Yeah, you couldn't hit kids. You couldn't hit kids or anything.
Yeah,
but there was still a really strong sense of objective right and wrong.
Yeah.
You knew where the boundaries were. Don't cross the boundaries. If you cross the boundaries, there's not going to be any of but he in his mind, or he was born like that. He can't help it. And it was no.
Yeah.
You need to either play by society's rules, or you need to get out of society. You need to be put somewhere that you can't be a danger to society. Yeah. And if you can't play by the rules, that's not everyone else's problem. That's your problem. So either adjust or get the F out.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just think, it was a sweet spot because I think you had one extreme, 50s, 60s, 70s, but then...
Yeah, smacking kids at school.
Yeah, and then after that, 2000s, that's when it started to get, bad again, I think, but in a different way where, you can just do anything now you want to do. There's no repercussions, there's no empathy, there's just, no nothing anymore.
Well, yeah, it's regardless of whether it's annoying people wearing you're a good person or as I said, people literally having sympathy for pedophiles and creating terms like MAPS, minor attracted people, as if that's
they just look into things too much as well. I think people have way too much time on their phones or at home that they're scrolling and investigating things too much, going too deep, and it's no, it isn't.
Too
it's
down the
surface level. You know what they are. That's what it is.
Yes.
Why have you got to come up with 20 different explanations for it? It doesn't have that at all.
I completely agree. I think that's part of the problem. I think sometimes people look too much into. I think that's a lot of Drew's problem sometimes, and I don't think he'd mind me saying that. Yeah. I think he'd probably admit it. But
we can say he's not on the
camera. But
Nathaniel's edit.
He's not going to listen. No, I don't mind him. I don't mind him hearing it. I don't mind him. I think that he would probably agree. A lot of Drew's issues have come from him thinking he has issues.
Yeah.
Whereas he probably doesn't have an issue. If he just just accepted himself and just got on with stuff, probably a lot of the quote unquote bad things that he's experienced or bad negative thoughts he's had about himself or about his own life, you probably wouldn't have even ever had them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just digging too deep.
It's like
trying
that,
trying
to find a deep meaning. Yeah. Trying to find the answer. There's some hidden answer, and by either taking this psychedelic or by talking to this shaman or reading this weird quacky book, I'm going to find out the answer, and then everything's going to be sorted. It's that's not really life.
You are what you are.
Yeah.
And you can't. Different explanations for things aren't going to let you find out who you are. You are just any random behaviour or any questions for this, that, and the other. It's no one's going to tell you it is what it is. It's just stop going to 20 different shamans or whatever. It's just it's just they're not going to tell you. Yeah, I get people come to me as a psychic to give them guidance and stuff, but I don't help them with your personality and stuff like that. It's more just a little bit of a guide, but it's not going to find out who you are.
Yeah,
it's just you might get a new job from it that might make you feel a little bit better or whatever, but it's not going to change your entire life. I just don't like how deep people go. I think there's too many people online that are just trying to explain things away that just aren't there.
It's the way that I feel there's like a lot of criminal activity has just been almost accepted nowadays. As well. You hear about apparently even Bridgewater was really bad for it nowadays. I see there's loads of machete gangs of teenagers just walk around with machetes and threatening to hack people up, and in some cases even actually hacking people up and that. And it's just I know that some kid got shot. Was it outside a park the other week? And then apparently some kid got stabbed. I think it was yesterday. Some kid got stabbed yesterday because someone gave him 20 quid to do it.
Yeah.
So somebody went to school with got given 20 quid to do it. And I just think, do you know what I mean? If there were because, as I said, all these overly deep thoughts of well, what's the best way to handle these kids? It's man, freaking punish them.
Yeah, that's what it is, and they need to be punished. And it is. They're just looking into it too deep, and it's no, they might have had childhood traumas or whatever, but that still doesn't excuse some. I used to work in foster and adoption, and you would get half and half there. You would get some kids that have been terribly treated by their parents now, they end up having great lives. They still were in education, still got a job afterwards. Never did anything horrible to anyone. Then the other half, they would use it as an excuse. I've done this because that's happened to me, but that shouldn't be an excuse. You should actually learn from that understand. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be different. But they don't. It's strange.
You see that with some people, don't they? That they think that like because they've experienced A and B, that gives them like an excuse to do like X and Y.
And they know they can play on that with people as well. So, I was abused, or this happened to me. Like, oh my God, okay, that's why you've done it. We'll let you off. You shouldn't be let off for doing that.
And I think it doesn't really hold up to scrutiny, that way of thinking either, because like I think we all know people that are some of the nicest people we know that have had some of the hardest lives.
And I've had that with customers and stuff. They've had terrible, horrible things, but they're the loveliest people you'll ever meet, because they know I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to repeat that pattern, because I don't want to be tarred with the same brush as them. And that's the right way to live, isn't it? But then you get others that use it as a weapon. But I can be like them. Yeah. Because I'll get away with it. I was thinking, like, my Grandma Enid, the one that was with us at the bottom of the guy on the other, she's like such a funny, quaint little lady. And she like sees the best in everybody. She's like such a lovely woman. But like, yes, she's like had such a hard life. Like her mum committed suicide when she was really young. Her dad, like, just like she was the youngest of 3 brothers. She was the oldest and had three younger brothers. Her dad just up and left the family for another woman, so she was just suddenly like on her own, almost just like having to look after that. She got I can't remember what disease it was now. She got this really bad disease. I think nowadays I can't remember what exactly disease it was. I think nowadays we just get like a vaccine for it when you're a kid. But anyway, she was quarantined in a hospital for 3 months in a room with no human interaction. Which was like insane. Like, it still like affects her to this day. Do you know what I mean? So, like, she always feels like she needs to be around people, and she loves being around people. And like had all of her clothes and all of her possessions like burnt. That was like how they dealt with it back in the day. First husband turned out, I guess, like background checks and stuff, especially for like just civilians, wasn't really a thing back in those days, like in the 60s, or probably it would have been late 50s actually. Her first husband turned out to be like a gangster, and then was like really, really violent and even like threatening, with like guns and stuff. And then she had to flee across like the country with my mum to like escape him. I say across the country, across a couple of counties, but my point being is she's had like a really, really hard life, but there's not like an ounce of malice in her. No. She's just really lovely and like bubbly. Yeah, because she doesn't want to repeat that pattern. She doesn't want to be like, why would I want to be like that? Yeah. Like, it's like that. My nan's the same. My nan had a terrible life. Yeah, she's one of 12, was like physically like, assault, like abused all the time and stuff, had to go and live with her grandparents, was starved and things, but she turned her life completely around. She had the most she's like the nicest person ever, and you would never have thought it the way she treated us. Yeah, like the best like nan ever. I think when you do know people like that, when you like come across somebody that maybe uses something that we're like, don't get me wrong, is bad, but like, it is like, not something that too uncommon, or let's face it, there's people that have been through a lot worse, but they're trying to use like whatever that thing is, as we said, as like an excuse just to be like awful people. It's just not an excuse, is it? No, it's just not an excuse. It's not. We used to say, like, when I worked at the council, like the fostering place and stuff, sometimes it'd be genetic. They repeat patterns and stuff like that, and that can be a case in some people, but not in all of them. Definitely not in all of them. Some, it would be genetic. You think, they are like mentally unstable and stuff. But with the rest of it, it was just as an excuse. Yeah, like they would do that.
Do you think part of the problem is how much more everyone is connected nowadays, like via the internet and via phones, that it's easier to sort of form a circle of people that maybe feel that same resentment, that can almost allow you to sort of like dig each other deeper into your own holes? I think probably. That's why you get gangs and stuff, because you're all the same, and it's like, I've got your brother, we're all the same here, and that's why they always come in groups. It's never really always on their own. And it's almost like maybe before the internet, somebody that maybe had like a really like messed up thought process or something, like the chances that there'd be somebody in your like local vicinity that would like validate that would be very, very slim. But because obviously of just like the vastness of like the world, what are there now, like I think was it between like 7.5 and 8 billion people on the planet now or something like that? But like there's always, regardless of how niche a thing you're into, you're always going to find a big crowd online of people that are going to validate you and encourage you to do all these horrible things. And you just think,
Whereas, you know, back in the day, if someone random came up to you, do you want to do this with me? You're like, all right, get lost, like, weirdo.
You'd be like,
whereas now,
they'd almost like locally, they'd get like a really horrible nickname, and every time you see them, probably be like, oh, it's Mr. And it would almost be like really comical, and you'd almost like punish them via that, and then you'd be like, oh, I don't want to be like this anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to be like that.
I'm going to atone.
Yeah.
I don't want to be Mr. Weirdo anymore.
Yeah, whereas now online it festers because you're on there all the time, and then they're giving you little snippets, little nuggets all the time.
Yeah.
And that's like, again, how a cult starts.
Yeah.
Doing that's like getting you in, sucking you in into their little group of people. But yeah, that's how you get, you know, misinformation as well on all these like riots and stuff like that, where they just give you a little seed of information. We're all the same. We all believe in you. We all love you. Then they go out and do all these bad things. And just like, you would have thought they were an idiot decades ago. Now you love them and think they're the best thing.
It's a lot easier to find a bad influence now, isn't it?
Yeah, there's bad influences ever online. Like, that's why social media, I think, can be great for business, but for other things, it's just
I completely agree with you. I mean, I think there are amazing things about the internet. And like some good things about social media, but to be honest, I do think it's like with social media especially, I do think the bad outweighs the good.
It's toxic.
I think a lot of our current issues are pretty much like heavily down to social media. Yeah, heavily down.
Everyone's thoughts and opinions all the time, and it's like thoughts and opinions of people used to be your family and your friends. That was it. Now it's just some old guy in a basement.
Yeah.
And you just think you would never listen to them before, but you see it a lot on, you know, on like the towns, it's like Bridgewater Past and Present, stuff like that. You know, like all these, you look on them and you luckily, because I'm quite a stable person, you like laugh at it, but actually a lot of people just rise up to it all the time. You think that's actually quite dangerous, toxic behaviour.
Yeah, really toxic behaviour. Yeah.
It's just a little town's, you know, Facebook site, but people, you would think, you know, they're talking to somebody quite big or an authority. None of these people are an authority at all. Yeah. So why do you have the right to have a huge opinion on it? It's scary.
Oh, 100%. It's hilarious how today we came in with the idea that we were going to talk hilariously alone about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But no, one of the things I really actually like about doing this show is that like sometimes like things just like, I think it's really like nice to have like a flow, and sometimes you just like see whatever conversation you're going to have. But we've got about 15 minutes left of the show anyway. So after literally tackling some really, really heavy, interesting subjects, let's talk for 15 minutes about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Woo! Yeah, so I mean, how did I even find out recently that you really like Buffy? Can you remember?
Oh, because I put my tarot cards up online. Josh got me some tarot cards, I think, for my birthday or anniversary or something. That's right,
and I commented.
Yeah.
I remember now.
I'm surprised I've never had Buffy tarot cards before, or even thought about it, because I got my Game of Thrones one and stuff like that. Yeah. But that was why.
So for people that don't know, obviously it was a bit before young Bullwinkle's time.
Indeed.
The baby-faced assassin as he is. Buffy was like a really, really massive television program which started, I want to say, what was it, like 96, 97?
It was 97.
97, yeah. And it's like massively loved, isn't it? Like, I think by people that like watched it back in the day, people still love it to this day. And one of the, I mean, we've been singing the 90s praises. I think one of the great things about the 90s as well is, you know, I think you have a lot of like superficial, fake, like sort of token stuff, like stuff going in television programs nowadays. But I think what was great about the 90s is, in my opinion, it was almost like the most enlightened decade, because they had some genuinely really good things happen, but it was so natural that you wouldn't even think about it. And what I mean by that is obviously, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's about, you know, basically the Slayer is like a chosen one. Every generation there is like a female born who is like chosen by like the powers of, you know, of good, whatever, to like fight like vampires and demons and all the forces of darkness. And then they have like a watcher who watches over them. And but you know, it's always a girl. It's always a woman. And if you think about that, that's like that was a really good thing to like have a good role model for women. Cool for men to like appreciate that as well. And until almost like the rise of almost like tokenism, I would have never even thought about the fact that, say, like Buffy even was a girl. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was so natural.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it's just like, oh yeah, the strongest person in the show is a chick. It's like some like 5'3" chick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it's almost like, as we were saying, the 90s, it's almost that perfect balance of like, it was super enlightened, but it's not like in this like forced tick the box.
It wasn't even made a big deal of.
No, it was just normal.
At all.
Just normal.
And that's like a lot of programs actually, like Charmed, really like Charmed stuff like that. It wasn't all women. Yeah. All women like that. It's like Alias, like loads of different women.
Charmed, I watched a lot of Charmed when I was a kid because my mum loved that.
Yeah. And you get it with a lot of programs as well. Like I used to love like Keenan and Kel, like with black people in. Yeah. It wasn't forced. It was natural.
It was completely natural.
And we all watched those programs as kids. Whereas now it just feels like a bigger deal that it's come back.
It's like everything is done to sort of like try and prove some weird point.
Yeah.
But it seems like
that we're ticking boxes off.
And it seems, to me, the irony is I often think it almost seems a little bit racist.
Yeah.
Because it's degenerating everyone down to what they look like or how they were born, rather than just you are a person and you happen to be a woman or a man or black
and you're naturally talented.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Sarah Michelle Gellar was a child actress, and it just naturally flowed. Yeah, Buffy, it's like a woman. It's not like a big thing. No, it's just like it's better if it's a woman. It just works better.
It was I think it's like it was one of the cool things about the show, because by that point, coming out of the 80s, there were lots of action movies where there were larger than life men, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was the decade of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and Rambo movies and Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and then to suddenly have like this like badass like female character was really cool, but it came about in a very like authentic way. It was completely badass. But as I said, it's really well loved show nowadays. When did you get into it? And can you remember, sort of like what you thought about the show when you were a kid and stuff?
I got into it a little bit later on down the line. It came out the year I started Haygrove.
Right.
So it was about the right time, like starting like a big school and everything like that. But I got into it about 14-ish.
Okay.
So a few years after that. Because my friend was watching it. All my friends at school were watching it and going, oh my God, did you see it last night? I was like, oh, I'm missing out. So I started watching it. And then like my mum likes stuff like that as well. And my sister does too. So we all kind of got into it at the same time. And I think there wasn't really anything for me before then that I could really watch. Like it was all Nickelodeon programs and stuff like that. It was getting a bit too babyish for me, and I didn't really like that anymore. And then I love vampires. I had witches, like Willow the Witch in it, and I thought, oh, that's like me. They're all different like me, and that's why I liked it too, because I thought, oh, they're talking about things that I like talking about.
I think that was almost like the same for me as well. Like if you like feel a bit like different, do you know what I mean? Like if you're like a bit alternative and you just like you're a bit different, you're like you've already at a young age become like really used to people calling you like weird and stuff like that. Yeah. Then you can really, because they're basically like a group of like outcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
And then if you're like really into the supernatural as well, then that's just, do you know what I mean? It's almost like the perfect show for a young person to watch.
And the humour is quite quirky on it as well. Yeah. And from transitioning to like Sabrina the Teenage Witch to that,
which was like very much like almost like a primary school kids show.
Yeah, it's like quite a good transition.
Yeah, definitely,
because it's still funny as well, but in a quirkier way, like a funny like way if you are into the supernatural and stuff. It's like, oh, I get that.
I think that's one of the things I love about the show, and it does it so seamlessly. Like it has constantly throughout from the first season to the end, it has very, very heavy themes, whether it's like life or death, relationships, and not just relationships between romantic, but also like family, friends. But it's always got like a lightheartedness to it. Like one scene could literally be like somebody's dying, or there's like people are in tears over this like very romantic devastating thing that's happened, and then there could be like some silly little like joke or comment, and then it just like lightens the mood a bit.
Like they had one episode which is a bit like bleak, where I can't remember his name now, but he was on the rooftop and he had a gun in his hand, and they were like, don't kill yourself.
Oh yeah, that
and
nerdy guy.
He went, no, I wasn't going to kill myself, I was going to kill everybody else. But I just but it turned into a joke.
Jonathan was it little
Jonathan, yeah.
Little like weird Jonathan
in the tower, and they were like, oh, okay. Like that, like
it is quite comical.
Stand down. He's just going to kill everybody else, not himself. And it's funny at the at the end when they're at Sunnydale, how the school burns down in that. But actually, it's kind of like looking at like, oh, that's right. It's like they hated. Like I hated school back then. Yeah. I could understand the school burning down, or he hated everybody in the school. They were like, yeah, we hate everybody as well, actually. So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. So good, so funny in that regard. And yeah, I do really love just like the way they portray like all of like the supernatural world in that show as well.
Yeah.
Just, you know, good, whether it's whole like vampire mythos, like like the different sort of like monsters and creepy crawlies and stuff like that. What have you got like a favourite season or like favourite seasons? Do you reckon?
Oh God, I loved like the first lot. The one I didn't like, I can't remember what season. I don't know if it's season 4, right, where she goes to college.
Do you know what? I'm exactly the same.
I hate that. And where she gets with Riley.
Riley
guy.
Finn. He's well cheesy and annoying.
She was with Angel, and I was like,
Angel's
you need to stay with Angel. And then Angel went off to do his own program. I was like, oh, great. And now she's with Riley. That ruined it. I was like, this better pick up again in season 5 because...
Chief, we are speaking the same language.
And it did.
We are speaking the same language.
They got back on track on season 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of happy again then. But yeah, I hated that season. I was just like,
the one
so
like
wrong.
that really annoying episode where there's that like her roommate just listens to Cher over and over again.
Do you believe whenever I hear that song, I think of Buffy. I think anyone that listens to that is a demon.
And yeah. I think they definitely are. I think my brother likes that, and he's definitely demonic. But yeah, and like I remember even little things like she had a one night stand with that douchey college guy, and that annoyed me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think with Buffy as well, you had that build up with her and Angel for those seasons. And even when he turned evil, he was still there, and it was still building up to it. She still loved Angel.
Yeah.
And I think because it was a teen show, it was very like a typical WB cable teen show. That's what we want when we're watching it. I don't want her to be with somebody else or like to have a one night stand or whatever. That isn't Buffy.
Yeah.
Buffy doesn't do that.
Buffy's deep, man.
She's a romantic.
Yeah, she's romantic. Yeah. I think that's like, and I think to be fair to David Boreanaz and Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think that they frickin' like did a home run with that frickin' whole relationship. Yeah. From like season, you can't tell me that like deep down, even if neither of them have ever admitted, there wasn't like some sort of like real spark in real life, because I feel like that was like one of the best on-screen romance, if not maybe even dare I say the best on-screen romance ever. Yeah, it's like so freaking good.
So good.
Man, and like it was so funny. Like it's so funny as well, especially when you're considering that I was like a little chubby kid with like a little chubby kid with a quiff. But I used to like watch Buffy when I was a kid, and I see Angel, I think, man, Angel was like my role model. I think like when I grow up, I want to be like Angel.
Poster of Angel by my bed and Buffy. We have Buffy and Angel there, like together as they should be.
Yeah.
When he did his own show, I liked Angel the series.
Oh, I loved it.
I loved it. But I was like, I was just missing Buffy a little bit.
I would always like really look forward to like if there was ever like a little crossover episode where they would suddenly be back together again, but I think it only happened about like 4 or 5 times after that.
He was in the end one.
Yeah, he was in the end one. Yeah, he came back for that, and there was a really good Angel episode where Buffy comes to see Angel, and then he somehow turns human. And then and that's a really actually quite sad episode for all you romantics out there. Yeah. Because and then it's almost like they get what they always wanted, and then I think like the powers that be come to him or something, and they show him like a glimpse of what the future will be like if he isn't like like a champion basically for the forces of good in Los Angeles, and then he like basically sacrifices like everything he's ever wanted to like become a vampire again so he can fight them, and that's like devastating, man.
Yeah, and then when Buffy dies, and then it crosses over to Angel again, and he's like gutted, and you think, oh God, don't worry, she's going to come back.
Man, I'm almost like tearing up.
Yeah. It's just like, you just feel so real when you're watching it. It's
so interesting, because obviously like we're like coming into today to like talk to you about it. There's always people that like, because I mean I like all of Buffy, but I think to me the first 3 seasons are definitely the best.
Yeah,
definitely the best. So the last best season is where they finally kill the judge and the school blows up.
Yeah,
like don't get me wrong, there are some good seasons after that, but to me it was like, and as you said, I think a lot of it was because Angel was such a good character.
Yeah,
when he had his own show, it was almost like you're diluting the magic a little bit.
Yeah, and there was more of a group in the high school as well.
Yes, I liked that. It was a bit more like.
Yeah, it
compact.
just felt more like that, and then it went off, and then like Cordelia went off of Angel as well, and that, and I was like, no, like Cordelia's supposed to be the mean one in the high school, not like the good guy now that loves Angel. And I'm like, no, that's Buffy's.
Yours. 100%. Yeah, and it was really interesting because I was interested to ask you, because a lot of people are like more like Team Spike rather than Team Angel, because obviously in the last couple of seasons, and that sort of annoyed me a little bit as well, because I felt like it cheapened the relationship with Angel. Like,
I love Spike,
I like
not
it,
with Buffy.
Exactly the same. I love Spike as a character.
There's somebody else great, but not with Buffy.
It almost like it felt a little bit wrong when I was watching it. And I was like, oh, what? So she just gets with any old vampire now? The whole thing that made it almost like special was like that whole almost like poetic dichotomy of like she is the vampire slayer, literally the chosen one to like kill vampires, and he himself is one of the worst vampires that's ever walked the face of the earth. And there's something like that's really poetic about that. Yeah. It's almost like it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing, isn't it? It's like forbidden love almost, and everything that comes along with that. Like at the end of the day, though, she's like a young woman and she is human. He obviously is infertile and immortal, so it's like issues, man. But it makes it very interesting. And as I said, it's so such a well cultivated relationship that obviously not only was it getting when it ended, and then she went out with cheesy boy Riley, but then when after that, then she sort of got with Spike. It almost like annoyed me a little bit. Yeah,
Spike was really funny in those last few, like the musical one. I've got the vinyl of that.
Yeah,
because I like love it so much. He was really funny in that. But I thought if they introduced another character to be with Spike, I think that would have worked way better.
And I really liked Drusilla as a character. She was cool.
Yeah, Drusilla was good as well. Yeah, like she killed someone with her nail.
Yeah, it was like Kendra.
Kendra, yeah.
Kendra the vampire slayer,
Mr. Pointy.
That was stake because she could Mr. Pointy. But yeah, she was like Drusilla was a cool freaking character. She was like this like psychic, like freaking vampire chick.
Yeah, I really liked Drusilla.
And just the way that she would like talk and that, like Juliet Landau was the actress that played her, and just like the whole way that she would like, they'd always like play that weird music when she'd be around that little like you know, like that little like kids box style sort of like music.
She was the worst actually, I thought, Drusilla.
She was creepy.
Like killing people and stuff, and like more sinisterly.
Yeah,
though, and
she
like
was
do
really
the flashbacks as well. Where then she made Spike, didn't she? She silenced him.
Yeah.
And that, so
just the way that she would like talk, almost like quite cryptic as well. Like she'd have these weird visions, and then she sort of tell Spike about it in this like weird cryptic sense, you know. And
I thought it was cool.
And when Angel turned bad and stuff, and it was just like quite cool. So as soon as he turned up, she just knew it, you know.
Yeah.
My angel's home.
Like really bad accents and stuff. But I didn't like when Angel turned bad. I know it had to happen. But I was like, oh no, we were just getting to the good stuff, and now you've done that, and now you've gone bad again.
Oh, they finally banged, and now it's all gone to pot.
It's like I thought we had another season left of this, but no, I just thought I'm glad he became good again, but then he ran off to LA, and I'm like, oh. No.
Yeah, it was very, very frustrating, wasn't it? I think as the viewer, I remember because I think one of the last shots of season 3, isn't it? It's like they've accomplished their task of defeating the mayor, and then it's like all like smoky, and he's like looking at her. And then he like turns around and like walks off into smoke, and you're like, no!
Yeah, I was like that. I was like, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back at some point, and he didn't. And and then I think like Joss Whedon, who like wrote it and stuff, must have just got a bit like, oh, I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to write. So I'll do season 4 and just like make it go off some like random army bloke. And I'm like, oh god,
he was so cheesy, wasn't he?
Just made me want to spit. I just hated it.
Riley Finn. Oh. Yeah, even though the name almost is a bit annoying, isn't it?
I just the way he looks was like cheesy, like blonde hair, and that's like. No, she's not. We're going to be with some like Ken.
Yeah, like he was such like a Ken doll, wasn't he? He was such a Ken doll.
Oh no, I don't like that. And you could tell like the acting around it as well didn't really like get into it either. It just seemed a bit forced and a bit weird. But then you get other characters like Wesley and stuff.
Wesley Wyndham Price.
He married Willow, didn't he, in real life?
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Alison Hannigan married him.
That's well cool. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
And he's not even British.
No, he's not. No, I knew that.
I thought he was.
I knew that. Yeah. Because James Marsden as well. He's American, isn't he?
Yeah. But he's not too bad. Like, you know, Giles is funny when I see him on Ted Lasso now, Motherland. I'm like, it's just wrong. It just feels so wrong. The only character he can ever play is Giles.
Yeah,
he can't.
Apparently, Giles used to like really help James Marsden on the set, because you know sometimes he'd like do like his lines, and Anthony Stewart Head, who plays Giles, would be like, no, that's sorry, that doesn't sound English and stuff, and he'd like help him, and he'd like make him say his lines over and over again until he was like, okay, as an English person I can just about believe that.
I think he lives in the southwest.
He lives in Bath. Ooh. And I've passed him in Bath.
Oh my god! How did you not just want to go over and give him a hug and say, "I love you, man"?
I know, I did. You'd have probably called the police though. Can you imagine me just like lunging towards you with my arms out in the street? Yeah. But I remember I was like quite a bit younger. I think I was probably like 13 or something. I was with my mum in Bath, and we were walking like up the high street outside Jolly's, if anyone knows that. I think Jolly's has just shut down. But and he just walked past us in the street, and I was like,
oh my god.
Also, because my brother lives sort of around Bristol and Bath, once Sam was on the way back to on the train from Bristol to Bath, and he sat next to him on the train as well.
Oh my god, I would have just been like bursting.
I'd just be like suddenly just, in every generation there is a slayer. It's like really just like be weird.
Like, wear the spectacles.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe he might be the new one.
He's because I did they are making a reboot. I really hope they do it well.
Yeah, at least Sarah Michelle Gellar, isn't it?
Yeah,
thank God.
Yeah,
because if there was a different person, I'd be like, no way, I'm not even watching it.
Oh man, 100%. Yeah. Because he's got a cool background as well, isn't he? Like similar. I love how fleshed out the characters are in Buffy as well. Like the whole with like Angel, like he was one of the worst vampires, Angelus, and now his whole thing is like he's trying to find redemption, and like Giles, the way that he's like this like. You know, when the series starts, you think he's like this really prim and proper guy, which he is. But then it turns out he's got this whole background where when he was like in college, his nickname was Ripper, and he was like this like badass like sort of like punk guy that got really into the occult, and then him and his friends like got caught up in this really bad like black magic stuff, and that was badass.
Yeah, it's really really cool. I wonder what the new one will be like. And it's obviously Dawn died.
Oh yeah,
in real
Michelle
life.
Trachtenberg, I think was her name. Trachtenberg.
Yeah, I was reading actually. I'm a bit geeky about Buffy. The last line in Buffy was actually from her.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like, "What are we going to do now?"
Huh. Yeah, there's nothing geeky about that, Chief.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So and I just thought, and obviously, I can't remember what season it was. If it's 5 or 6, she was the one that was supposed to die, not Buffy, and Buffy sacrificed herself for her. And when she died in real life, Sarah Michelle Gellar put the quote up that she said as she walked into the vortex. And I thought that is the coolest thing I've actually ever seen.
Yeah,
that actually quote what you said to her before you died.
She kept that one in the bank, didn't she?
Yeah,
if she dies before me, Insta post.
I always think it's like a bit creepy how that happened. Like in real life, she's passed away, and she was always the one that was meant to die, but it swapped. In the end, I always think that's a bit creepy.
Yeah, no, definitely it's creepy. And by the way, obviously, I'm completely joking about the Instagram post. I mean, you know, rest in peace, Michelle Trachtenberg. Yeah, pretty savage because she was only like, I think she's like
same age as me.
Yeah, like I was going to say, like around our age sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, that's savage, man. Really, you know, just to finish as well. I don't know how did you like watch Angel all the way through as well, or not so much?
Yeah.
I've always thought it's because they basically got cancelled. Didn't they? And they were supposed to have one more season, and then they got cancelled. And apparently, it was like for quite like a corrupt reason because it was like apparently it was the second most viewed television program on whatever channel they were on at the time in America as well. So there was like no rhyme and reason. It was some political reason behind the stage.
A lot of stuff like that was going on at the time because they were on the WB, so that was Buffy, and then it got swapped to UPN.
Right.
And UPN, they were like huge for like their teen shows, like Buffy, Angel, like all of them, like Beverly Hills or whatever they call it, or Gossip Girl. They shut that down. Like a lot of them were getting chucked off. So I think that was with one of them. It was just like put to the side. So they changed their schedules and stuff. But I thought if it's like one of the most popular, like why the hell would you get rid of it? But it's just all like how they want to change their schedules and stuff. It's just so annoying. Yeah,
it's like because I remember like that never almost like sat well with me. I felt like the whole time I was like following Angel's story. It was like I thought eventually one day there was going to be like, this thing where he was almost like told that the good he'd done in his life outweighed the bad enough that he'd actually finally got redemption or something. But instead it just ended with him just like in a back alley and there's just like hundreds of like demons and stuff and he's just like what is it that ends pretty cool. I can't remember like what they say, but the show ends pretty good. It's like raining and it's like him and Spike and that character like Fred, but then she ends up getting like possessed by some ancient goddess or something. Do you remember like Illyria? Is it Illyria? And then Gun, and it's just something like Angel saying something like dibs on the dragon or something like that because there's like a dragon flying over the.
I hope Angel comes back on the new one.
Man, he's so good.
Oh my god, he's not doing anything I don't think at the minute. I've been looking at what they've been up to and I'm like, I hope Angel.
I would freak.
I would literally scream if he comes on like him and Buffy are together or they like rekindle
and then they finally imagine if they finally got together.
Oh my god, they have. I think this has to happen. The new writer's on this because there's going to be a new writer now. I think and not Joss Whedon because he's been like another one that's been cancelled. I think that would be really good if they do that. And I'd be so just happy. For us, come on.
Yeah, come on. Do it for us, guys. Come on, do it for little me and little Chief.
Yeah,
who started following this journey when we were little kids. Yeah. We just want Buffy and Angel to be together, man.
Yeah, I want Willow back as well.
Yeah.
not evil Willow though, because I didn't really like that either. When she and her hair went black.
Yeah. Is that hair a bit too close to home?
Yeah.
Excuse me, do not stereotype me.
You've got red hair. You've not got black hair.
Yeah.
Know your place, Willow. So I think she could come back as well. She's a free agent in a minute.
Oh,
so
nice.
You never know.
No American Pie movies have come out recently, so
yeah. It's funny watching Marvel though. WandaVision, they had Anya on there.
I really enjoyed WandaVision.
Xander's WandaVision's really good, and it's funny she turned up on that and on Agatha All Along.
Oh yeah,
as well. But that's very Buffy-like. That was was so Buffy.
I haven't seen Agatha All Along, but I've seen WandaVision.
Yeah. The Agatha one, I really enjoyed it. Josh was like, I don't ever like it, and I thought that's because it's like Buffy. It's like that quirky humour, and and that slow burn thing is just like it.
I wonder why Josh doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. But the only thing, I guess, looking back on Buffy now, I think the graphics are a bit off. So hopefully that will, be better.
But I think that, come on, that was just the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the 90s / early 2000s. I think at the time you didn't think anything of it, did you? Because that was normal.
Now I think maybe that's why I didn't now I hate horror films if anyone's like having their head chopped off and stuff like that. Whereas back then we were watching it all the time. Everyone was getting their heads chopped off, stabbed in the heart.
Everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Even Faith killed a human on it, stabbed him in the heart with a stake.
Yeah.
And you just think, oh my God, but that was on at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
That was like kids' TV.
Yeah.
Like having an axe and chopping somebody up.
It's weird, isn't it? Funnily enough, though, so all of the Buffy, I don't know if you know, have been uploaded to Disney, but they've remastered it all, and there's the quality's actually pretty good.
Is it?
It doesn't look like it's like a 20-year-old show. It looks like it's I'd say it looks like it's maybe 6 or 7 years old now. But apparently there's several different ways to remaster stuff. My brother was telling me about this. He's way more techie than me. And they've done one of the cheaper ways, but apparently it's still really good, where basically they've remastered it. They've almost put the old footage through AI and got IA to touch everything up. Oh, cool. But it looks really good.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
It looks really, really good. So yeah, if you want to rewatch it, I do recommend watching it on Disney because the quality's really good. Everything's it made it long while it's high def and remastered. But anyway, we're going to have to finish the show here because almost 2 hours doing the show, but yeah, thanks for coming in as always, Chief.
Thank you.
Really appreciated the chat today. I'm glad that we're on the same wavelength with Buffy. First 3 seasons the best, definitely Team Angel. Listen to all of Claire's shows, say Tarot Tuesdays obviously on Tuesdays, and Mystic Hour on Thursdays, both in the morning at 8 o'clock, is that right?
Yeah, and then repeated on a Sunday, the Mystic Hour as well.
Awesome, and keep an eye out as well for Claire's new dance show, where we'll be dancing to the Venga Boys every week. Have you got a name in mind yet, or not that far?
Not yet, I'm not that far yet.
The Chief's Dance Extravaganza. Yeah. Right, yes, cheers everybody, we'll see you next time. Have a good one.